Welcome back to Off Ball Takes. This is your host, Yarby Laws, and this is my co-host.
Christopher Wells.
We appreciate all the support on our recent content, and before we do get started with this live reaction, live discussion of the 2026 NBA Draft, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and follow us on Instagram and TikTok at the OBT Podcast for more content and updates. This is going to be insane.
Yes, we're here. We're back at it. It's the NBA Draft. We're just minutes away from the 2026 NBA Draft. It's always fun to do this every year when we always react to what's going on. We actually have some pretty funny memories, I think, of some of the previous drafts. You know, whenever there's like trades, or there's always a couple guys that get drafted in a spot where you don't expect. So it's always pretty fun. I remember when we reacted to, I think it was when Dillingham was drafted by the Spurs, and then he was traded to Minnesota, right? Where we had some reactions for that. I remember when we reacted to, I think it was what was it? One of the Thompsons went, like, I think when Asor Thompson was taken earlier kind of than expected, right? Mm-hmm. So every year there's always some funny ones. And then of course last year's draft, right, where we kind of reacted to some of those picks going on. So either way, I guess while we're waiting for the draft, I guess if we want to, we might as well get into some of the NBA news that happened last night, right? So if you hadn't heard, which you probably already have, Giannis is now Miami Heat, right? And it's
crazy
funny
work,
because
bro.
On our previous live streams, we thought Miami Heat Network, let's go Giannis, baby. Yep, yes.
Shout out to Giannis. Shout out to Miami, man. Yeah. Your team is gutted now, but hey, you know, you got Giannis, the guy that everybody wants.
Yeah, and so it's funny because we thought he would go to Boston because a lot of the reporting was kind of moving and inching people towards, the Celtics might be able to pull this off. It's Jaylen Brown, or whatever. And then obviously the Heat end up pulling it off, right? We know the package, right? Pretty extensive package. So it's Giannis and Bobby Portis to Miami for Tyler Hero, Khalil Ware, Jaquez, Yakasionis, 3 firsts, including the number 13 pick swap in a second round. And I think the other 2 firsts, right, are like 2031, 2033 or whatever it is. So very extensive package. But if you're the Miami Heat, you kind of have to do this. Why you ain't telling me you want to record no more? It was all good.
There's no scheduling, bro. It's just chalked. It's literally chalked.
Yeah, but regardless, with the Miami Heat, I mean, the thing is, like, you had to do this, right? Because if you don't and you run it back, then you're probably not going to be headed anywhere, right? Whereas you go out and get Giannis, now you actually can go somewhere. You just have to now be able to fill out the rest of that roster with whatever pieces you can. I don't know if Powell's coming back, or if they're going to re-sign or bring back a couple of minimum contract guys. I'm not sure. I don't know if the Powell one will happen as much just because of the numbers, and it would put them, I think, in that apron because of the Giannis deal. But I don't have any issues with it because, like I said, if you're Miami and you don't do it, then you're pretty much stuck. Whereas if you do it now, at least you can be in the conversation in the Eastern Conference. I wouldn't pick them.
Go ahead.
Like, I wouldn't pick them to win the East or win the title, but like, you'll be better than what you were before. I mean, what did they win? Like 43-ish games, something like that, with a bunch of injuries. So you're going to be better, but I think it's going to be tough to do it in the first year. I think if it's year 2, then we're talking, but year 1 might be a little bit tricky.
Yeah, that's a hard disagree for me. I don't like the deal at all for Miami because you gave up a lot, like a lot. You gave up a lot of young players. Obviously, these guys weren't like, S-tier talent or whatever, but like, look at the roster now. There's no depth whatsoever. They're definitely not going to be like you said, coming out of the Eastern Conference next year. There's no shot. I don't believe so. But I do like the pairing of Giannis and Bam. That's a scary front court. I'll give them that. However, outside of that, what do you mean, no, we didn't? Gave up a lot of people. Tyler is trash. Jaime was mid, and Spo didn't play where. At the same time, you lost so many pieces in depth. Like, that's what I'm concerned about. what is this team going to look like? They have a lot of work to do. Like, you can't really grade this trade right now because we got Bobby Portis. Wow. You cannot grade this trade right now. I'm not going to lie. You need to see what they do in free agency, which is, I don't know. Like, we have to see what they do with Powell, stuff like that. Because right now, the big three is what? Freaking Giannis, Bam, Norman Powell, and I guess Andrew Wiggins interchangeably. That doesn't really instill a whole lot of confidence for me. So you really do have to wait for the free agency to begin. Then I think we can revisit this trade. But for Milwaukee, I actually like it because you get a draft pick, you get Tyler Hero. Maybe you can flip him because I think the deadline for this thing to actually be official is July 6th. So, we'll potentially, see what they do. But yeah, Miami's got some work ahead of them.
Yeah. The thing for them is where they have been good for the most part is like on the margins where it's like, oh, you can find these guys that nobody really thinks of, and then all of a sudden they become rotational players. So that's where you can have, a level of confidence or belief that they can find some of the supporting pieces. I just think year one it's going to be really tricky just because of the fact that when you gut your roster, year one usually it becomes a lot harder to compete for the championship. And then the next season, then once you can add some pieces or do whatever trades you want to pull off, then
look at the
you'll
Knicks.
probably do it. But I don't think that they're not going to be bad. I mean, but I think it will be difficult for them to win the title. But I think the other part for a lot of people is like I think they're just kind of looking at Giannis almost like he's washed, and it's like the guy is not washed at all. He's just been hurt, unfortunately. But if you can get a healthy Giannis, and how many games last year did he miss because the Bucks are kind of just stashing him to make sure that they can lose as many games as possible. If you can get a healthy Giannis, that should be good enough to win you several more games than last year. It's just the question is, come playoff time, how many of those guys outside of your core pieces can you trust in a big playoff
Can't even
series?
trust Bam.
That's what's going to be the question.
You can't trust Bam offensively. I'm telling you. That's why I don't like the team.
Okay, the Bucks were garbage. I don't care. Bucks terrible. One of the worst teams in the league. Said that from the jump, right?
Yes,
but okay, you're going from a bad team with no future assets, nothing, to a mediocre team with no future and assets. That's why I'm I think it's great that Miami got him, but I think people are overhyping it. We have to wait. What? Wizards overpaying Trey. That's crazy. We just had this discussion off stream. It's not an overpay, bro. What are we supposed to do? Just give him a freaking lowball offer? That doesn't make sense. He would have gone to Brooklyn. He's at the point where he wants to chase the money. It doesn't matter. $53 million is fine. It doesn't matter. Let him go? No. Then we have no true point guard. I don't want to see Bub Carrington at the one again. Okay, but it doesn't matter. We're trying to win. We're accelerating the rebuild. We're not trying to be a bottom 3 team anymore. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's not like this guy. It's not like AJ is going to be the franchise leader in year one. I don't think there's no way that's the expectation. AJ or Darren Peterson. Neither one of those guys is going to lead the team to the playoffs. You need a veteran, a calming presence, a guy who makes everybody around him better, which is proven. Yeah, I don't care. I could care less about Anthony Davis. I don't care about AD. But Trey is the topic of the conversation because it's not an overpay. I think you paid just right. Overpay is De'Aaron Fox. What a crap show. Trey is buns. Yeah, okay. What up, Untamed?
What's up, Untamed? Yeah, it has been a minute. I think the last time we live streamed, what was that? I think that was it was after the finals, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the last time that we had a decent amount of chat activity, I think was a little before that. I think it was one of the earlier rounds. So but yeah, it's gonna be fun. Like I said, I guess then the other question is that from the other team's perspective, right? Because it was down to 2 teams, and Milwaukee ultimately chose Miami's package. It kind of feels like, have a good stream, fellas. About to record you. Good luck to you too.
All right, brother.
Yeah. So but from Milwaukee's perspective, it feels like that there may have been sort of like a schism in terms of like what the office was looking for and what the ownership was looking for. Because it sounded like one group wanted Jaylen Brown, probably the ownership, just because like he would be the best player of any of these players involved in this trade, other than Giannis, of course. But then maybe the front office, because you get all these assets and all these other pieces that you could work with, maybe other pieces you could flip or just keep them, do whatever you want, right? That might be more of a front office interest. And I guess that's the other thing. Like if you're Milwaukee, like you got Miami to squeeze pretty much everything that they could in order to get Giannis, right? Like this was not necessarily like a cheap grab, right? I mean, we kind of thought that it would be quote unquote a haul because it's Giannis, but just when you read it after it came out, it's like, yeah, that was a lot. Oh my god.
I'm telling you, that team is gutted. It's literally so bare bones. After the 3 guys that I named, 4 if you want to count Wig, there's nobody. Like, yeah, the starting 5 is great. I love that. I really do. I genuinely do. But we kind of have to take Norman Powell out of that because he's a free agent at the moment, right?
He might be gone.
Exactly.
May be gone.
So what are we talking about here? That team is a skeleton, bro. That's why I'm like, their free agency is going to be crucial.
Yeah, and it's like, will you be able to sign and trade him? Does he just walk? Because now, which we didn't even mention some of the other trades, right? Like with Julius Randle, and Nick Claxton and whatnot. Now you have some teams where it's like some of the cap space that they were gonna use is now gone. No one about to dip exactly. Yarby hit on the nail because that's the thing. If he walks, then that's bad because then you're getting nothing for him, right? If you can pull off a sign and trade, but even if you do a sign and trade, you're probably not getting much. You're probably just getting like some type of player that where the salary is maybe close, or maybe you get like 2 role players or whatever. That's why I think, like I said, for this year, it would be hard for me to pick them to come out of the East. But I think if you're going to have any level of confidence, like you said, it would be in that top group of the roster. Because it's like you have Giannis, you have Bam, who'd be better than any of the Bucks players from last year. Sorry, he's just a better player than Miles Turner. It's okay. And then after that, like you said, you get to Wiggins, and then it's like Davion Mitchell. I'm a little concerned, like also, like say, regardless of if they have Powell or not, you also probably need somebody on the perimeter who you can help kind of work some offense through late in games, because it can't just be Giannis and Bam. Just because as good as great as Giannis is offensively, you need some type of guard that can help you get some offense late in games. Whether or not it's like to get Giannis the ball, play pick and roll, or handoffs, or just creating some type of offense off the dribble, like we've seen in the postseason. It's like I don't feel super confident about it being like Davion Mitchell and then whomever else the other guard is. I don't know who that'll be.
Yeah, it's not right.
So,
oh my god. Okay, Wizards are on the clock.
all right,
so the clock is counting down.
Yes. So we might as well get back to the draft. Sure. We both in our mock drafts have DeBonsta number 1. I think we believe that's the expectation. Yes. So now we just wait to see whether or not he goes number 1. And I know we both had him at number 1 because we feel like of the top 3 guys, right? He's a wing. He's got super impressive talent as a scorer, as an athlete. It's just the question is like some of the other stuff, right? Like say playmaking, passing. He's gotten better at it, but still probably has another level he needs to get to, especially if you're going to be like a number 1 option. Probably sure. Defense as well, off-ball scoring. But just in terms of just like the type of player he is, like to me, that's the guy that I would lean to towards number 1. But I understand the arguments for like Peterson, or not quite as much Boozer, but I like Boozer though.
Yeah, I think it's a no-brainer. However, the argument for Peterson is very strong, and yes. the tape backs it up. It's just I don't know about the health. I don't like that factor. And then also would I really want to invest in another guard with the Wizards roster? And I know like that might not be a conversation like for a roster that looks like that, but for me, I'd prefer to have more confidence in a long-term wing guy who can be, the franchise-changing guy versus, like Darren Peterson. Especially considering that this roster has questions at that wing spot more so than guards, I think. Because I think Trey Johnson is going to be a sniper. Who knows? Do you play Bilal with the 2? What do you do? Like, what's the plan there? But I think going big is better.
Yeah, and then Untamed, let's see. Well, you never know. Miami just picks up G Leaguers and turns them into Michael Jordan. So we'll see. Then AJ too cocky. I like Peterson. He seems more humble. And then unfortunately, AJ is the Wizards' best fit. He makes the most sense to me. Like I just think he's the most talented, but I don't think the other guys stink. Right? Like I like all of them, but I just think he's probably the best individual player. And then, like you said, even beyond that, fit wise, it makes sense too. Obviously, you got to go for best player available. We think he's the best player, so that's why we would take him number one. But fit wise, I don't really feel like this would be a
Jeez.
difficult fit
They're
because of
freaking using up the clock, bro. Sorry.
yeah. Well, I mean, hey, I mean, this is an important pick, so you gotta make the call. So,
Don't
but
trade it, bro. Don't trade it. Pick is in.
all right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, they got AJ. So
Yeah,
that's
there
what
it is. All right, yeah.
Yep, there it is.
To be expected. It's great. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yep, congrats, Yarbs. Yeah, so again, this is your team.
Yeah.
You have the number one pick. So tell us how you feel about the pick, about the player.
It's great. Like I said, no brainer. This guy put up one of the best scoring wing seasons that we've ever seen post Kevin Durant. And I think that's nothing to really scoff at, right? The guy can score at all three levels. He can get downhill. And he makes it look easy, right? Like there's highlights of this guy quite literally scoring in 3 dribbles like it's a freaking drill against competition. How will it look at the next level? I think it'll be solid. I think there's probably going to be rough patches, but when you're playing on a team like the Wizards potentially with Trey, AD, there's not going to be an immense amount of pressure, right? Where it's like this guy has to deliver every single night because you already have 2 all-stars there. Not saying the team has expectations, but there's versatility here now because you can go big, you can go, a little small too, depending on if AD is going to be there as well. Because some people have AJ listed at 6'9", some people 6'10". I don't know what he actually is, but if he's 6'10", why not experiment with him playing, the 4 and the 3 as well, maybe even the 2. It depends on really what you want to do on a night-to-night basis and figuring out what works with the young guy, because that's the other thing. The rest of the roster is young, outside of pretty much Trey and AD, right? You have all these young guys like Keyshawn George. Do you play him at the 4, right? Bilal, Bub, like what do you do? Trey Johnson, what projected lineup would you prefer? That's a good question. I mean, obviously Trey at the 1, probably Bilal at the 2.
Mm-hmm.
At the 3, maybe probably AJ, and then AD, and then Sar. That would probably be my ideal lineup. There are questions about everybody's shooting in that lineup, probably. So I don't know. You could start Trey Johnson. I don't know, but I like the defense. I think they should go defense and length. That should be the identity because you have to hide Trey Young.
Yeah. Good luck and Keith Wells, and then
Thank you.
Untamed. He's like, thank you. And then T Mac. He's like T Mac, so 2 through 4 is doable. Yeah, I like the lineup that you suggested because, like I said, some of it's going to be based off of like who's still here. Like, is Anthony Davis still a Wizard?
Right.
If he is, then him and Sar are starting together. Then you probably have AJ at small forward. Then you have Trey Young, and then whoever you like at the 2. What do you think about like a Keyshawn George at the 2? Can you do that based off of what you've seen from him?
Of course, yeah. I liked watching him run the offense last year. Granted, that's because we didn't necessarily have the best options at point guard, especially when McCollum decided to be a tank commander and stuff like that. But I don't know. It's tough because I feel like he's like that. The bridge piece, and that's the problem. When you have a guy like AJ, it's probably going to stunt the development of some of the other younger guys, and that might knock people down, right? Like we saw that with Oklahoma City, right? There are guys like Wiggins, like who were supposed to play and like be crucial parts of that rotation. Now, not even on the team anymore. So it happens. The pegging order gets a little I guess murky when that happens. But that's the thing. We have so many wings, but we're in a positionless league now. So I think the competition is probably going to be between Keyshawn and Bilal. But I think Bilal is in such a big prove-it year that they're probably going to go with him outright and then, see what happens with Key.
For sure. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense there. I guess number 2 pick on the clock, Utah Jazz, right? So in our mock draft, we both had Darren Peterson. as the number 2 pick, right? You know, they are another team where like I like Will Riley and Bub.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's so many young guys. Like Will Riley, didn't even mention him, hidden gem. But what does that do to him next season? Like, he might not even get a whole lot of minutes, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And so we both had Peterson number 2 overall, right? Obviously the Jazz are another team that could look potentially different next year, depending on what they do, like with Markkanen or, you know, maybe Walker Kessler, even though I would assume he comes back. But yeah, for us, we have Peterson, right? Just to kind of fill in that other guard spot next to George. I know there was some thought process that maybe they don't that Peterson or somebody doesn't think that maybe him and George could work together. I What do you think?
I've heard weird things about that. People are
Mhm.
tying it back to the money, but I don't think an agent would sabotage another player
Yeah.
like that. Like, I think that's
Yeah.
just reading too much into stuff. But I think they could coexist. It's just they are two ball dominant players. That is the
And
issue.
that's who the Jazz took. They took Peterson.
Yeah, I mean that was to be expected, right?
Yes, yeah. And we've already talked about him, of course. Like we like him as well a ton. We just like AJ a little bit more. But obviously with Peterson, he's got the great jump shot, right? Obviously, he'd be the best shooter, I would say, of the three, right? He's got some pretty good ball handling, shot creation. He can do a lot of things. Defense, I think he should be good. It's just obviously the big question with him that kind of makes people waffle as to whether or not he's going to be 1 or 2 is I think just the injury stuff,
Yep.
right? Like how much do you just kind of just throw away and just be like, it was college, it's whatever, right? He probably wanted to be in the NBA. Maybe he just tried to keep himself fresh, whatever, right? Like that doesn't really matter now that he's at the NBA level. How much of it do you actually feel like, no, this is a concern, right? Where it's like, oh, he may have some physical problems in terms of being able to stay healthy. I'm not sure. I'm kind of willing to throw out that it was just kind of a weird college thing going on there,
Sure.
just because he's so talented. But I think for Utah, this one makes a ton of sense because now you can just, as Untamed mentioned, right? George, Peterson, Ace, Laurie, Jaron Trade, Walker. What do you think about that?
I don't like that. Um,
The
and
only concern I would have is Triple J. I don't feel like is a
no,
center.
he
I know
sucks
you,
at rebounding. Like, he's not
yeah,
gonna. He's not gonna get the job done. You'd have to go big with this team, and that's the identity that I hope they actually go with.
and then, but I guess the question is like, is Walker Kessler going to get the money that he's apparently looking for, right? Because what was the reporting? He was looking for more than what they offered, which was like what 5 years and like 130 or 40 or whatever it is. That'd be a lot of money for a guy who hasn't yet made an all-star team or all defense or anything like that. So I do wonder if maybe he just ends up getting less. How much of it is a smokescreen? Does he actually, excuse me, does he actually go? I don't know. I would like him to be a part of this group just because of his rebounding and his defense. True, Triple J cannot rebound. I forgot, and that's why I would think it would make sense to more so actually maybe keep Walker Kessler and maybe trade Markkanen to another team if you could get something good for him. And then it's like, all right, now you slide in Peterson and Ace Bailey into that starting five. You don't have to, but I would probably prefer that.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. And we already talked about Peterson. I guess in the mock draft, what other additional things do you like about his game?
Willingness to defend. That's
Yeah.
something that's nice, right? It's not like this guy's just solely an offensive engine, right? That's already there. He looks automatic anytime he has the ball in his hands, but that's also on the defensive end of the floor as well. But I think it's going to be a good fit. Like hypothetically, you really do like having that future foundation and that young backcourt. I think that's kind of underrated nowadays. Of having a solidified 1 and 2, it's just a matter of what else does the team look like beyond that, right? And that's the unfortunate part about Utah right now is what do you do with Walker Kessler? Because I feel like he makes that team a lot better. However, it all comes down to the money, unfortunately. But I think they're a team to watch, and we talked about this. I think, for our end of the season recap or whatever, what team we have our eyes on, and it's them, right? We expect them to kind of take a leap just because they brought in, Jaren Jackson Jr. They went big. You're expecting some leaps from the other young guys, right? You expect Deontay George to look even better. Ace Bailey too. Then the addition of a top 2 pick and now Darren Peterson officially, right? It looks great. So I think it's best case scenario for both parties.
Yeah, That's what I would say for sure as well. It's just I am curious to see how they build it out because it is going to get expensive. So Laurie makes a lot of money. Triple J makes a lot of money. Keontae George will presumably get paid and make a lot of money.
Yep.
Kessler, if he gets paid, he'll make a lot of money. So then it starts to get expensive in the next couple of seasons. So gonna have to make some decisions soon. Now the third pick, right? That's the Memphis Grizzlies. This is another one where we had the same guy. We both had Cam Boozer,
Mhm.
right, out of Duke. So what do you think about Cam Boozer?
I like him. I think there was a serious case for him to go number 2. I wouldn't have been mad at that, right? That would have been pretty cool to see a uber big lineup, right, where you do have, basically 3 forwards, 3 power forwards, 3 big men, in that starting lineup. But yeah, he's a solid game. Very dominant season. Very dominant season. Very underrated, a little old school in terms of the play, and I think that's the problem. People are like, yeah, like, his game isn't flashy, so he sucks. No, not at all. I think he's going to be a different player in the league. I don't think it's going to be the same type of dominance. I think it's just going to be different, and I think he's going to adapt, right? I think, he's probably going to have to find a mid-range shot, the three-point shot. Is it legit? Questions like that. Can he bruise his way around the rim? Probably, to a certain extent, but just like I said, not as dominant in college, but I think he's got the work ethic. He's a winner at all levels, except for college, unfortunately. But, it is what it is, right? Like,
Yeah.
the ethic is there. Like, the character is there. I know we didn't talk about the character with the other guys, but I feel like, with the third pick, there's different level of expectation. But I think he's going to be solid, bro.
Yeah. I mean, he averaged 23 and 10, 4 assists,
Dominant.
over a steal. Yeah. 56 from the field, 39 from 3 on a little under 4 attempts a game. So offensively, he's got a pretty complete package, right? He can post, he can roll, he can pop, he can pass. The main question to me is like defensively, what does he look like? Whether or not, like, is he better at the 4 or at the 5? Because like at the NBA level, we know that there are guys that are at the 4 that are like wings.
Yep.
But then there's some guys at the 5 in the NBA that are also a little bit bigger than him. So that's kind of where I wonder how that is going to fit. Memphis, of course, has a lot of like long athletic personnel. So I think, like Untamed mentioned, I think he is the correct choice at number 3. I believe we're still waiting on the pick, if I'm not mistaken, but I'd expect him to go third. Yep. We're already getting some from Jake Fisher. Cam Boozer will be the number 3 pick.
Yes, sir.
So that should be coming out pretty soon from everyone else. I think pretty much we knew who the top 3 would be. It was just the question of the order. But I think most people were kind of set as like AJ's probably going number 1. Peterson's probably going number 2. Boozer's probably going number 3. I think there was a little bit of difference from some people, but this was the top 3 that I expected.
Oh yeah. They're going with the script, and that's the right thing to do in this situation. You can't really pass up on the talent, and I think we all know who's going at number 4 as well.
Yeah, and that is kind of the funny question. Where what is going to happen after the top 3, right? Because again, this is another pick where we both had the same guy. We had Caleb Wilson, but he's probably the one that has the most questions out of those top 4, because a lot of people really believe that he's got a very high ceiling, but right now he probably has the lowest floor of all of them because he doesn't have a ton of great skill sets on the offensive end. Needs to kind of continue to learn the game. He's a great athlete. He was a very good rebounder in college. He averaged 2-3 stocks a game, so 1.5 blocks, 1.5 steals, 6'9", 7-foot wingspan. So he's got a lot of great physical tools. It's just, can he actually put all of it together?
Yeah.
If he can put all of it together, then he might actually be a monster. It's just a matter of you have a lower starting point. Wilson and Clax to make a mini Twin Towers would be fun. Yeah, and that was kind of the funny thing, right? Where it was like before the Giannis trade, we had the other relatively significant move, right? Where Julius Randle goes back to New York, but it's not the Knicks. It's the Brooklyn Nets, right? And Minnesota basically, moved up in the draft or whatever they did. They traded back, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So they basically kind of salary dumped Randall, created a trade exception, and then Nick Claxton went from Brooklyn to Chicago. So, like Untamed mentioned, like, you have Nicholas Claxton, and he may not be the franchise center for the future, but the thing with the Bulls was they had no other centers, right? Pretty much.
Yeah.
Like they didn't really have any other than I think Jalen Smith, who's kind of like a tweener.
Yeah, and I think I had Chicago taking a big man in the
Right.
draft. I have to look at my mock actually.
Right, and that's kind of one of the other questions where it's like, okay, there's a lot of guys here that, where because of some of these deals, like they may get shifted or moved around a little bit more than we expected. So like when we were putting our mock drafts together, one thing that made it a little bit not annoying, but a little bit tougher was just because we're in our minds thinking like, yeah, some of these teams may not even have some of these picks.
Yeah.
Where it's like, yeah, because it was like we had Miami mocked at 13, but now they're not going to have it. Like they're going to pick it for Milwaukee, but so
Yeah.
they're going to take a player that Milwaukee wants.
But
But like when we're doing the mock draft, we're doing it as if Miami has the pick.
remember, I had said, I was like, even if Miami gets rid of that
Right.
pick, it's still going to be good for, because I had, I probably shouldn't say who I had, but I had Phylon going there, but I think he's probably going to Milwaukee as well.
Right. So yeah, exactly. That's where the question is. Trey Murphy is getting traded most likely to guys, and that's another guy, right? Where he could be, I don't want to say casualty, but just somebody who, because of what's going on, like New Orleans may be like, yeah, let's get into the draft. Let's go and pick a guy because we gave away our pick to the Hawks. So let's see if we could possibly get someone in this draft, right? And see if we can select anybody. I don't know who they would necessarily take, if they had the pick. And then I don't necessarily know where he would get traded to. I know there have been teams that have been mentioned. Some people have mentioned like Boston. Some people have mentioned Golden State, obviously. A couple other teams as well. I don't know necessarily where he goes if he does get moved.
Yeah, I have no clue either.
Yeah,
We'll have to just
exactly.
see.
And I don't think.
The
Yeah, and the
waiting game
Bulls
at
pick
this
is.
point.
Yeah, exactly. And the Bulls pick isn't in yet, so I do kind of wonder like, could there be something different here?
Yeah, do they zag and take a cuff?
Yeah, I mean, because with the Bulls roster, they don't really have anybody right now where I'm like, you have to keep like this is your franchise player, right?
Mhm.
So you got the number 4 pick, so this is an opportunity to take somebody who could be it. But is Caleb Wilson going to be your franchise guy, right? Like, can you get a guard and maybe hope that they're your franchise guy? Let's see. I take Trey and Dyson to Boston for JB and a 3-teamer. And Jaylen Brown, obviously that's another name, right? Where like the fallout from the Honest deal, right? Does he end up getting moved elsewhere, right? Because Shams Charania has been kind of talking about that, where he could potentially be a guy that could be on the move elsewhere. We know that there are teams that are interested in him, right? Like they mentioned Atlanta, they mentioned Houston. I think there were a couple other teams as well, right? That are maybe in the mix. Of course, the Bucks could have traded for him, but they didn't. They wanted the Heat package, so he's another guy that could potentially get moved as a result of all this.
Yes, sir.
So, yeah. So, like I said, in our mock draft, we had Caleb Wilson at 4. But like I said, after the top 3, I'm ready for whatever.
Pretty
Like
much anything can happen.
Like I'm not saying that he won't get picked there. But it wouldn't surprise me if it was someone else.
I agree.
Yeah, but I guess when you look at the Bulls roster, right? Like you have Josh Giddey, you have, as Untamed mentioned, Matas, right? And then, after that, they move some of these other guys. Let's see. We've got all chalk so far. Caleb Wilson is going to be the selection for the Chicago Bulls. It's coming from Jake Fisher.
Yes, sir.
So sounds like he's going to be the pick. And yeah, the top 4, that was what we had. And I think that's what most people had. I know there were people that had different orders, right? Because like I said, some people had Peterson 1. Some people might have had like Boozer 2, right? But the top 4, we knew that those guys were going 1 through 4. It was just the order was maybe a little bit different for some people.
And it makes sense. It truly does, with all the talent, with all the upsides, the drawbacks. But for Chicago, I love this. You get yourself another freaking Energizer Bunny and a perfect complement to, some of the potential building blocks of the franchise. So I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, like you said, he fits because like they are a team that's kind of trying to play fast, play up tempo. You got a lot of good athletes on the roster. You have some guys like a Giddey who's a really good passer, especially in transition. So you have a lot of players who, and Wilson is going to be another one of those guys who's going to be willing to get out and run. And he's got, again, a bunch of great physical tools. It's just, can the Bulls actually develop him well, right? Because they don't really have like a great recent history of developing a lot of young players. But, now they do have a new front office. They got a new coaching staff. So that could potentially change here. And it probably needs to change just because, now you want a little bit more of an identity.
Yeah.
And I think kind of have it set with all the athletes. You just have to continue. Clips might trade down. And this is where it starts to get a little bit different, right? Because now you're at the 5th pick. Now a lot of the best players available are guards, right? And they're point guards. And a lot of them are kind of small. So that's the question of which guy's going where. Are any of these teams like, you know what? Maybe I don't want this pick. Like Untamed said, maybe the Clippers are like, maybe they'll trade it. I think since they have the number 5 pick, I don't know. Unless like you're getting more stuff, it'd be kind of hard for me to feel like that you got to move it. But they do have a lot of options. They were very fortunate that they were able to get that pick from Indiana, right? Where I think a lot of people kind of assume that the Pacers would just keep it, right? Where it's like all it has to do is be in the top 4, and it's the Pacers, and then of course it drops to 5, and then also like the OKC pick doesn't go up. So if you're the Clippers, you're doing okay. In the mock draft, I had Wagler. I think you did as well, right? So
Yep.
that was So that was the first point guard I think off the board for us, right?
Yeah.
Because I think we like some of his potential, I guess, two-way ish sort of ability a little bit better than maybe some of these other guys.
Honestly, it's more so the fit with Garland.
Yeah.
That's what it is for me.
Yeah, he's got more size because he's not as small. He's what, like 6'4" or so,
Yeah.
as opposed to maybe some of these other guys like an Acuff or a Flemings or a couple of these other guards, right? Where they're very skilled, very talented offensively, but they're just a little bit small. And I think the fit makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah.
So but this is where I'm actually really curious as to what happens.
Me too. Anything could happen. Like, it wouldn't even surprise me if like Nate Ament gets picked here for some odd reason.
Yeah, and I guess that's the question. Like, if you're the Clippers, like, how do you handle what you have going forward, right? Because like you still presumably right now have Kawhi on your roster, but then you also got younger because of the trades that you made at the deadline, right? Where you sold high on Zubac, so you got a top 5 pick. You traded for Garland because you swapped out Harden. You brought in Mathurin, right? I don't know what they're going to do with him contract wise, but you got a little bit younger, but you still have Kawhi who's coming off a great season. Do you quote unquote sell high? Do you keep him? What does he want? Does he want to just stay? Because he may just be okay with staying in LA, and just playing out the rest of his contract or whatever. Do they have anything going on with aspiration? I don't know. So like, what's the direction that the Clippers should go? Like I said, we have the guy that we have mocked there, but what would you do if you're the Clippers?
Rebuild time, man. I think you got younger. That was step number 1. So, I just feel like the Kawhi experiment should be over and done with, right? Like, this has dragged on too long. Maybe you try and move him. That's what I would do. Maybe shop him around, see what you can get younger, stockpile picks, and just start from scratch, man. Because I just don't have a whole lot of belief in that team because, what does his health look like? Towards the end of every season, right? They're always a safe bet, I guess, for the regular season. But when it comes to playoff basketball, I can't pick them. I literally can't.
Yeah, that's the tough part. Yeah,
Hard reset.
Untamed says Kawhi got to go.
Agreed.
I feel like that makes the most sense. And then the question after that would be where do you send him? Like, what are you looking to get back for him? How much can you get back? What teams make the most sense? Right? Because like he was looked at as like, oh, if the Heat can't get Giannis, then maybe Miami might get him. I know Golden State's been a name for him. I think there's a couple other teams too. Mainly, most people have kind of mentioned the Warriors because they're trying to go after guys, I guess, to help out the group that they have right now. But like if you're the Clippers, like if you're doing that, then it's like you're probably getting Butler who won't play for most of the year. Can you get number 11 or is it just Butler? I don't know. I feel like there's some other teams that would probably be fine for him as well.
Yeah, we'll just have to see.
Yeah. And then I know Detroit was a name that some people have mentioned. I think there's some reporting that like maybe he wouldn't want to go there. That's a team that probably has to get active this offseason as well in order to get better, and actually be in that mix as opposed to kind of just the regular season.
Yeah.
So I'm very curious as to what the Clippers do with this pick. Dog, Clippers are the longest tenured NBA franchise that has never made the finals. Just unbelievable. And the crazy thing is, like, they've had a lot of good teams where it's like this last stretch of like what? Close to 15 years or so. They've had a lot of teams where like they look really good and they look like real threats to do something. And then something stupid just happens, right? Where it's like either somebody comes up short in a playoff series, Kawhi gets hurt, where Paul George gets hurt or Blake Griffin or Chris Paul gets hurt or like 3-1 leads blown. Like it's a lot of just like bad luck, right? In a sense where it's like they might just be cursed. And I guess the curse may be lifted with this number 5 pick, but I don't
No,
know. Like,
not even.
like you're gonna have to do a little bit more. Like it does feel like rebuild time, but then I guess the other thing is now with the draft stuff, like with the rule changes, it may just you may just have to be in a spot where it's like, well, we can't really tank and completely shut it down. So maybe we do just try to be as competitive as we can. So there's a lot of direct. It's the LA Curse move back to San Diego.
I'm trying to get picks back for Kawhi, man. At this point, just youth and picks.
Yeah, and I guess that's the question of like which teams are the ones that are going to be the most amped to do that.
Yeah, we'll just have to kind of see what the market turns
those
into.
Those would probably be kind of like the desperate type of teams, right? So like, the teams where it's like, oh, we couldn't get Giannis, but maybe we can get Kawhi, or maybe we can get Ja or somebody like that. So
yeah, maybe Jaylen Brown and Kawhi. I don't know. Be interesting.
Yeah, and that was part of like a potential trade thing, right? Where it was like, oh, maybe Boston or somebody gets like not Boston, like the Clippers trade that pick or something for Jaylen Brown, something like that. That'd be kind of interesting. I don't think that they're going to do that, but
yeah, well, we've hit zeros on this freaking pick.
Yeah, so let's see. Michael Scotto says that it's going to be Keaton Wagler with the number 5 pick.
Yeah,
so
I mean that's solid to be expected.
Yeah, and that's who we. Funny enough, like I said, all of the top 5 picks, we had the same players mocked pretty much.
Yes.
And for Wagler, like you said, you talked about him, right? Where it's like he can pass, dribble, and shoot. He's got a good feel for the game. He's got decent size, right? Doesn't have like crazy long arms, but just being 6'4", 6'5", that's a nice compliment for Garland. And he can still help you on both ends of the floor. He shot 40% from 3 in college on 6 attempts a game. So for the Clippers, perfectly fine, right? Because like again, you traded Harden. You're kind of in this weird youth / vet phase, sort of. But now you have the number 5 pick, so this pick makes a lot of sense to me. And he can shoot. And it's like, if you're the Clippers, like they've kind of been a team that likes to be a jump shooting team. So it kind of also just offensively makes sense as well. Playing, he can play in the pick and roll and pass, right? Like, so this is a good one, I would say.
Yeah, I agree. There are no complaints from me. I think he fits well with Darius Garland. That's the number 1 priority for me. While at the same time, you get a solid shooting guard that has a ton of two-way potential. And, I like the size, I like the frame, I like the IQ. It's all there, the three-point shot as well. So definitely the safest pick at number 5 for sure.
And Jake Fisher says there will be no trade despite a lot of interest. The Clippers are staying at the number 5 pick and selecting Keaton Wagler. So,
smart.
Yeah. So now we move on to number 6. I believe that's the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah, this is our first difference.
This was our first difference. This was a team that did not get some lottery luck, unfortunately, right? I think they had the 3rd best odds, if I'm not mistaken, and they dropped down to 6. I had Darius Acuff for Brooklyn, just because, I think offensively, even though he's small, I like his game. There's obviously some concerns here. The thing is, Brooklyn has a lot of guards, but none of them to me are franchise guards.
Nowhere near.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like I don't really have a problem with like, oh, this one might just be better than all these other guys, so let's take him. None of your guards are set in stone. And I know Sacramento is kind of where he's been mocked to, but I wouldn't really have much of an issue going to Brooklyn. Obviously now you don't have Claxton, you have Randall instead, right? So that kind of changes, I guess, some things a little bit. Let's see, by the way, Brooklyn fleeced Minnie, in my opinion. I guess you can mention who you picked, obviously, and then also talk about like what you thought about the trade.
Yeah, I had Mikal Brown Jr. going here. I like Acuff, but at the same time, I have my worries with him. It reminds me of Trey Burke, right? From way back when, small guard, great offensive engine, timely shot hitter, but I don't know how it's going to translate to the league. But Mikal Brown Jr., I like him a little bit more. I like the size, I like the frame, I like the confidence, the moxie, the range as well. That is just amazing, right? That's always nice to have a guy who has limitless range and confidence like that. So, I'm kind of hyped to see him, and he's just progressed steadily throughout, his entire career. So I think Brooklyn maybe takes a swing at him. But we have been hearing rumors like Sacramento is like dead set on getting freaking A cups, so there could be a swap here. I don't know.
There's also been like Nate Ament talk, I think, has been kind of reported a decent amount about Brooklyn taking him. I don't know if they actually will. That was kind of a little high. I had him a little bit lower.
Me too.
Our mock draft, I know he's kind of been a polarizing pick. I do kind of wonder if, like, this might be the first pick in the draft where it's like this could be a shakeup.
Yeah,
So,
it could be.
I don't know.
Funny enough, I had Ament going to Milwaukee.
Yeah, exactly.
And next Giannis.
And I guess, yeah. And then the Brooklyn fleecing Minnesota, do you think so?
Not really. I don't really know how to feel about it yet.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like, maybe it's just because I'm not a Randall guy. Like, I'm very impartial to it. Like, I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but like, I could care less. I'm happy that he's off of Minnesota, honestly, and it gives them the flexibility to do the Sumu deal or whatever, and whatever else they need to do. But I don't know. Minnesota's in a weird spot, and honestly, somebody said it. I was watching a YouTube video earlier, and somebody said it the best, right? Like, immediately we already started hearing reports of like Ant is going to be the next Giannis saga, and I'm like, we just got done with the freaking Giannis saga. I don't want to hear any reports of Ant wanting out or anything like that for the next freaking 5 years. No, it's not going to happen.
He probably is going to have to, unless they make some other move, because you don't have anyone else who's a quote unquote 4. And I don't really think he's a 4, but I don't like him as a starting center because I just don't think he's good enough defensively. But like, if you're going to put him next to Gobert, I guess you could find a way to make it work. And then I guess it's, with DiVincenzo out, I guess you almost kind of you would be starting Dosunmu with Ant and then McDaniels and Naz Reid and Gobert. So they're a team to watch. Like, it's kind of incomplete because I need to see what else they do. Like, do they absorb somebody into that trade exception that they just created? I don't know, because there hasn't really been a lot of reporting. But I think we kind of knew at a certain point that like one of those 3 front court guys was getting moved.
Yeah.
I just think the question was like, which one was it going to be? Naz is more of a 4 than a 5, don't you think?
No, I think he's a 5.
It's tough because I feel like offensively, he's probably more like a 4 than a 5. I just think like defensively, I don't really feel great about him like guarding 4s or 5s. I just don't think he's like that great of a defender. Like, but it works okay, I guess, because you have Gobert. But at the same time, it's like, what's the alternative? Like, so he might as well just start at the 4, and then you just kind of figure everything out, because like it feels like kind of a, and like you said, they had to also sign Dosunmu, so that was part of it too. Here we go. Brooklyn Nets will select Mikal Brown Jr. with the 6th pick.
I figured as much. I think that's the right move for them. I'm telling you, the amount of hype there is to A-Cuff, I'm just not buying it. I'm not. And maybe a few years down the line, or even at the beginning of the season, I might eat my words. But I think Mikal Brown Jr. is the pick here, man. He's got the moxie.
Yeah, and I guess then the question after that is like, if it's the pick that Sacramento wants, maybe that is a bad thing, because I know that they took Keegan Murray, but I don't know, their draft record is a little bit muddied.
I mean, and Keegan Murray's not even like that guy at this point, so like, I guess underrated, but not what I think everybody predicted he was going to be after his rookie year.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the tough part. Untamed says A-Cuff is falling. Do you think that he will fall past Sacramento, or do you expect Sacramento to take him?
Sacramento's going to pick him.
Okay. Yeah, hopefully that's one that's just going to be quick, since we've heard so much about like, this guy's going to this team. Hopefully that one is just one where like Sacramento just snaps their fingers and they're like, we're taking A-Cuff.
True.
Yeah, but so if we're looking at Brooklyn, you have all these guards. How do they all fit together? Who do you pair with?
They don't. You gotta play them at different times, honestly. Because what's his name, Yegor or whatever. I mean, I don't even think he's a freaking guard, bro. That dude is like a forward, honestly. But Mikal Brown Jr. should be the starting point guard. I don't care.
Yeah. It was funny because I think Joman was kind of mocked as sort of a point guard, and in watching him the handful of times I watched the Nets, like he's probably more of like he's not a lead guard, I don't think.
No, he's a wing.
It's funny because like the concern about him was his jumper, but then actually he shot the ball pretty well from three. But then like everything inside the arc honestly was worse than expected. So that was so that was kind of the part that was kind of funny for me. Let's see. So Jake Fisher said this clears the way for the Sacramento Kings to select Arkansas guard Darius Acuff with the number 7 pick. So, let's see. Is Day'Ron a good fantasy pick? You talking about Day'Ron Sharp
Might be talking about Darren.
for Brooklyn? Yeah, if it's Day'Ron Sharp, I mean, I guess if Brooklyn doesn't do anything else at the 5 spot, then yeah. I mean, I don't know how healthy he's going to necessarily be. That's kind of the concern and question there. But if he's healthy, I mean, he'll probably put up numbers because of his rebounding. So if you're talking about Day'Ron Sharp, I guess I could see that as like a sleeper one because they don't have a lot of bigs without Claxton, so like he's gonna have to play. Yeah, and that's what it says from Michael Scotto as well. Darius Acuff Jr. with the number 7 pick going to the Sacramento Kings. Obviously, the Kings were yeah. So he was talking about Day'Ron Sharp. So
Yeah.
But yeah, so for the Sacramento Kings right there, of course, they have gone through the ringer for the last couple of years, right? Of course, we know they made the playoffs with De'Aaron Fox, and then he had good stints last season. Yeah, I remember that. But with the Kings, it's just been rough, right? Just because it's like you had that one good year where you made the playoffs, then you immediately fell off, right? I think they were kind of one of those teams where they were on our list, I remember. Because I remember we got some comments, I think the following year where we're like, yeah, we don't think the Kings are going to be as good. And then they were like, and then people were like, yeah, you guys are sleeping on Sacramento. And since then they have not been very good, and it's not getting better right now. It's gotten worse. And the part that's obviously pretty rough was they were quote unquote ethical tanking, as some people would say, and then they didn't reap any of the benefits of it because they dropped and they won more games, right? Like Levine was gone, DeRozan played, but like Levine was gone, Sabonis was gone, and they like somehow managed to pull off wins with some of these guys like right at the end of the season, and then they dropped all the way down to 7. Now that being said, because of the lottery odds, if they had the 3rd worst record, does that mean that they're going to get the 3rd pick? Probably not, but just rough. Underdog posted some of the Nets' first-round picks in the last 20 years, and they mentioned Mikal Brown Jr., Yegor Gilman, Nolan Traore, Drake Powell, Ben Saraf, Danny Wolf, Noah Clowney, Derek Whitehead, and Cam Thomas.
Yuck.
It's been
yuck.
rough. Yeah, and
I'm surprised they didn't like compile a bunch of the picks last year and just move up.
Yeah.
Like that's what I would have done.
Yeah, Day'Ron Sharp, Zanin Musa. Oh, I forgot about that guy. Jared Allen, Karis LeVert, Rondé Hollis-Jefferson. Not going to name all the guys, but like Derek Favors, Terrence Williams, Lopez, Ryan Anderson, Sean. So it's like not great, not amazing, right? Like who's the best player on that list? Maybe Brook Lopez, Jared Allen, one of those guys. Unfortunately, Acuff going to a contender in 5 years. Sacramento is like a farm who raises livestock and sends them to bigger companies.
Wow.
Yeah, I
that's a
mean,
pretty accurate description of Sacramento.
I mean Halliburton, Fox. I mean, just to start off with those couple of guys, right? I mean, it's
Need
it's
you go on.
no, Mike Brown.
He counts too.
Yeah, so
Jeez,
yeah, it's not great.
Bigger
It's
company. That's funny.
yeah,
I
like that.
That's actually pretty good.
Yeah, that's a good one. If we ever use it again, we will make sure to cite you for it.
Of course.
So next up, that's funny. I'm just kind of losing it now. So I guess if we're moving on, we're at the 8th pick, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So now that we're at the 8th pick, we're going to the Atlanta Hawks. So I had Braden Burries going here. I think you had a different guy, right?
For the Hawks, I had Kingston Flemings.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This is the one where we had the swap, kind of like the last.
Yep.
So yeah, I had Braden Burries just because of the little bit, because some of the size, some of the 2-way ability. right? You can play with some of these other guys like Jalen Johnson, Dyson Daniels, or Kung Wu. Some people say they should take a big. I mean, you could as well. But I just have him there just because I think he would fit really well with those guys. But I mean, Flemings I think could be perfectly fine as well.
Yeah. Like I said, I had Kingston Fleming's pick there. And I like everything about the guy's game. Can't really get to the rim too great, but that's where the mid-range shot comes in, right? He it's not like he settles, right? It's a very creative way of scoring, but he's got the assists, he's a complete package. I think it's just defensively, is he going to get picked on? Because that's the trend with a lot of these guards. You're going to notice they're very small, very small. Like it's not like, the in-demand 6'6" or 6'7" guard. Like these guys are 6'4" and under pretty much. If that.
And we don't know if they're gonna be like a Jalen Brunson type, small guard, right? Because it's like we need to see that. Like Brunson was able to pull it off, but that's Jalen Brunson.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of these guys are gonna be Jalen Brunson level good. That's the question.
That's why I'm telling you, that's why I really wanted to stay away from Acuff, bro.
Yeah. So do you like the pick for Sacramento?
Yeah. Because, I mean, what else would they have done? Like, honestly. No, seriously. What else would they have done? They missed out on the top 4 guys, right?
Right.
They couldn't trade up because they have no assets to do so. Keaton Wagler, gone.
Yeah.
Mikael Brown Jr., gone, like I thought. And I don't want to have to say you settled for Acuff, but he's best available, so you kind of have to take him.
Yeah, and it's funny because I think Michael Scotto also reported that like they could waive and stretch DeRozan, so that's another player who can get waived and stretched. I know, it's getting dark.
Jeez, bro.
It's
getting
rough.
Trade everybody, bro. Get rid of freaking Sabonis, all of them.
You can't waive and stretch Sabonis, but I mean,
but I'm saying that's why I said trade him.
Yeah,
get him up out of there, man.
Yeah, that's a team that I think should look very different.
I don't know. Fall from grace, that team. Trade to Boston, Atlanta, please. Oh, man. Trade to Boston, ATL, please.
Yeah, well, yeah, Atlanta. What do you have for us? Are you taking Braden Burries? Are you taking Kingston Flemings?
I think it's Kingston, bro.
Are you taking someone else?
I hope it's Kingston.
All right, so let's see. Yep, Kingston Flemings.
Figured, yeah.
Atlanta Hawks.
Yeah, it made sense. Like I said, you get rid of Trae Young, you ship him out. You got CJ McCollum coming back on a 1-year deal, right? And then, Kingston Flemings, you add him into the roster. He learns behind CJ McCollum. I think it's a great it's great potential. And I think, you get a potential point guard of the future. And like for a team like Houston, the one he played for in college, it's no small feat to freaking command an offense like that as a freshman.
Absolutely.
Like the coach, Kelvin Sampson, tends to go, a little older with his guard. So if he trusts you, I think you're straight, man.
Yeah. And for Atlanta, like I know some people argued for a big. I think a point guard makes sense here because you don't really have one, right? Like McCollum obviously worked really well there, but you would like to kind of at some point have some type of younger guy who you can kind of put in there.
Oh, yeah.
And I think you're kind of hoping that like you have guys who can defend. You have guys who can get out and run in transition. So like on paper, you should have the personnel to at least somewhat protect him defensively. Then it just comes down to his effort. And if he can at least give you some decent effort, then you can find a way, hopefully, to make it work, especially if his offense actually comes through, right? Because like you got Nickeil Alexander-Walker, you have Dyson Daniels, right? You got a Kung Wu. You probably would like a little bit more size, but just you have other guys who can play that defensive role on different ends of the floor or on different areas of the floor for Atlanta. So no issues with that. So next up is the number 9 pick. That's the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah.
The guy had Flemings there, so it's like basically just a swap.
Yeah.
I would I would expect them to take a point guard just because like I mean you could take someone else or some type of guard, but like, Kyrie's on the roster, but you do also need to kind of prepare for the future, right? Because like you have Cooper Flag. I guess Derek Lively still exists on the team for now, in theory, on paper. So it's like, so it's like you have some younger guy, you have Max Christie as well. So you have some younger players on the roster. You just kind of need to continue to build that. And that's another team where it's like, okay, now they have a new front office. They have a new coach. So on paper, that should be a team where it's like, yeah, some of those vets might be moved on by the time next season starts or at the deadline, right? Like a guy like a Clay Thompson or maybe PJ Washington or Gafford or whomever, right? They have a lot of different pieces that they could move. But if you can get some type of guard out there that can at least, command the offense, run some actions with Cooper Flag, I think that would help.
Yeah. That's it's interesting. Like I feel like they could go 2 guard here, and that's kind of why I have Burries because yeah, you mentioned Kyrie, but kind of also have Clay on the team. Like, is that long term? Probably not. So maybe you look to replace him too. But I honestly and it's funny. This is a random thought that just came across my mind because I was just scrolling on Instagram. I saw the pre-draft picture or whatever for the photo shoot of Darius Acuff and Phylon back to back. Phylon is not 6'3". He might be 6'2", maybe 6'1".
Really?
Acuff looks taller than him. I don't think it's the shoes, but completely unrelated. Honestly, Phylon could go here. That would be a huge jump. I know people are kind of iffy on taking him in the lottery, but there's potential, bro. There's potential. So I'm curious what Dallas does, but my 2 bets would be Burries or Phylon.
This is kind of that range where it's like, okay, you might see some guys jump or fall just because of the different needs of the teams here. Like, I think Dallas, you'd like to have your quote unquote one of your foundational guards set, but it's like you said, you got to take who you're the most comfortable with in terms of the skill set and the ability. So let's see. From Jake Fisher, the word was that Atlanta would listen to trade calls all the way until they were on the clock at number 8, but it just always seemed like the Hawks were going to nab their point guard of the future to pair with Jalen Johnson. Like, that makes sense. Like,
yeah, you got to go young.
Like Jalen Johnson's one of your foundational pieces. Like, get him a guard so that way he's not like one of your number 1 lead ball handlers. So that way you have another person out there.
For sure.
So no issues with that whatsoever. And, like you said, Dallas has some different directions they could go in, whether or not it's like point guard or combo guard or shooting guard or whatever. But get a guard in there, like just somebody who can handle the ball, help you on the offensive end in some ways, just as a young guy.
Yeah.
Just because they have a lot of vets where it's like, yeah, I'm just not sold that all those guys are going to be here for the next several seasons. Maybe Kyrie, just because you don't know. But like some of the other guys you mentioned, like Clay, like I wouldn't expect him to stay in Dallas much later than this season if he stays at all. So
yeah, I'm curious about this one though.
Yeah, exactly. So let's see, and then Jake Fisher, we haven't seen a trade. We haven't seen a trade either. I think he's just talking about it as a whole. Whenever I talk to team personnel picking 5 through 8, I didn't hear a single person say they felt the talent gap between those 4 guards or these 4 guards was enough to justify the cost to move up the board. And that makes sense because if you don't feel like there's as much of a gap, then the guy's probably going to be there. Otherwise, you might get fleeced.
Pretty much.
So. We'll see what happens, but like I said, the Dallas Mavericks were waiting number 9 pick. I don't think it's in yet though. No. So far, no real surprises, I would say. I mean, this is pretty much like the general order that I think most people had a lot of these guys in.
I mean, literally so far, 8 for 8.
Yeah, like your mock draft is literally, like you said, 8 for 8. Like 1 through 8 is pretty much exactly as expected. So, I mean, right now it's like so far I like every pick because this is kind of the range of what I was expecting. So I'm expecting it to change at some point where it's like there's gonna be at least one pick where I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it happens every year.
Yeah, it happens every year.
I think the Warriors I think the Warriors pick is the one. It's either the Milwaukee one or the Warriors one. The first Milwaukee one. Because now they have 2.
Is it just because of like the range that it's in or just like those teams?
Well, it's the range and it's both. It's both because now there's no Giannis. So what are you drafting for? Are you drafting with Tyler Hero in mind or without Tyler Hero in mind? What are you drafting for? And that's why I'm like, is Hero even going to be rerouted? I don't know. And that's what makes it interesting because they're going to have the 10th pick and the 13th pick now. So
That's an interesting range, and it's going to be dependent on probably what Golden State and Oklahoma City do. And OKC is the other one that I have my eye on too. They better take Yaxel.
Yeah, and I guess really quickly, Underdog also posted final return from Hawks 2025 draft night trade. Kingston Flemings, Asa Newell. For Atlanta, Pelicans, Derek Queen. So does that trade feel like how people felt about it now based off of what we've seen? I guess we have to wait to see what the Hawks guys look like, but does it look as horrible or as disastrous? It looks like the Dallas Mavericks will select Morris Johnson Jr.
Are you serious? No.
And I think I had him 10th, right? I had him going to Milwaukee, right? So
Wow.
he went up one pick higher. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about, where it's like we knew something was going to happen, and this is, I think, the first surprise.
I don't like this pick. I actually hate it.
I mean, if you're looking at, okay, he's got some versatile, he's a defensive guy, versatile, long, athletic. He's 6'9" and 250, so it's kind of like, okay, he's in that tweener range where it's like he's a little big for a forward, but a little small for a center. So what does he play at? So what does he play at on both ends in the NBA? Can he shoot? So far, not really, no. So far, not really. Obviously, but the other thing is, to be fair, right? They hired Dusty Mays. He's on Michigan. So you thought they might take one of those Michigan guys, right? Like, we didn't know which one, but there was a possibility. But I think if we thought that they would take one, I think we kind of thought they would probably be someone else.
I would have thought Yaxel, bro. If you're going Michigan, you got to go Yaxel. But I don't like this one. And probably
this is the first one right after I said we're gonna start getting some ones that we're not gonna like.
And this screws up my entire draft because I had this guy like towards. I think I had him at the end of the lottery, literally number 14. But I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I like the player. It's not the player that's the problem. It's where he's picked. I think this is a reach. And his combine is probably what did it for him because I know his measurements came in like way bigger than expected or whatever. And obviously when you have great measurements alongside the stuff like that, like, I don't know, it's interesting, but very much a defensive minded guy, very versatile defensively, kind of a one trick pony offensively, if you want me to be honest.
Yeah, I kind of thought maybe kind of like a Colin Murray Boyles, but like he's bigger, more physical, even though Murray Boyles is a physical guy. I love how Jake Fisher and Michael Scotto put that out first, and then Sham said, have a feeling new Dallas Mavericks coach Dusty May will be bringing a Wolverine up next at number 9 in his new job. That was pretty funny. Yep. I like that. Untamed says Clips and Nets are out in front in the race to acquire Trey Murphy. I hadn't heard that, but you said what?
No, I was reading it.
Yeah, I hadn't heard it. But I mean, those type of teams, I guess, make sense. I mean, he could pretty much fit anywhere, honestly, just because of his skill set. But if the Clips got him, I would think they would move Kawhi. But like, why would he go to New Orleans? Could that be like a multi-team trade? I'm not sure. Like you said, this one was a little bit of his. I had him mocked going to Milwaukee, but he was somebody where, like you said, I think just the defense and the athleticism was pretty tantalizing. But I also feel like the connection in terms of the school probably plays a factor as well. I'd be surprised if it didn't play a factor. Oh, yeah. So that's our first shocker, I would say. So next up, the Milwaukee Bucks, right? So like you said, kind of changes the draft board a little bit. Because like I said, I had Johnson Jr. going here. You said that you had Nate Ament going here. I guess the question is, do we even expect that now?
Yeah, that's the thing. I would assume so. I think the Bucks probably take a swing on Nate and then use that 13th pick to probably pick Phylon, because I don't think the Warriors would pick Phylon, and I don't think Oklahoma City would pick Phylon either. So, yeah, I think Nate Ament goes here. Who did you have going here again?
Morris Johnson Jr. Yeah, that's who I had. That's literally who I had going.
We're screwed.
Yeah, that's who I had going.
Yeah.
Here.
Okay. So now that you don't have him going here, you know, who do you have? Who I don't want to put you on the spot, but who would you take now if
I think yeah.
he's not on the
So
board anymore?
yeah, because the problem is I had spoiler alert. I had Yaxel going to Golden State. I don't think that makes sense for Milwaukee because why would you take a 24-year-old? Why would you take a 24-year-old at this point
When you just got
for a team
Baquez,
that?
bro.
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty much right in the rebuild. So, oh man, that's a tough one. So, because I had him meant way lower,
I know.
I think than you did, if I'm not mistaken. So,
Yeah, you're not super high on him, right?
no, no, I was not. No, I was not. I'm not gonna
Um,
say I hate. Yeah, but yeah, I'm not gonna say hate at all. Obviously, I don't hate any of these
no
guys.
hate,
But
no hate.
yeah. So that's a tough one. Like I said, that completely messes up my board. Because I think because I'm trying to think when I go back, the next couple of picks were like I think I had meant going to OKC. So
Oh my god. Okay, yeah.
yeah, so if that's the case, it's like okay, well then yeah, I guess I would have Nate Men at this point here because I think that would make more sense for Milwaukee over Yaxel.
Yeah, because they're
So
not gonna go Mara.
yeah, so I would pretty much be with you, I guess, at that point.
Yeah, they're not gonna go Mara. They're not gonna go Yaxel. They probably wouldn't go Phylon at 13.
No.
Jeez, I don't even know what 14 is gonna look like for me. That is such a wrench. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, we knew that there was a guy that was going to shoot up. So it was, I think it was a little bit of a surprise that it was probably him, but I had him at 10. So it's like, I can't even really say that it's way off for me because I had him high. So
Yeah,
but,
shout out Dusty Mays, man.
yeah, exactly. But that's where I guess the question is these other guys, Yaxel could be a guy that falls just because of the age, but I think some of the teams in this range make sense for him. Not Milwaukee. And then I guess Miami's at 13, so or Milwaukee, excuse me, is at 13, so not at 10 or 13, but in that 11, 12 range, he could be up based off of whatever they want. But
Jeez.
Milwaukee, I guess I have to give it up and be like, all right, Nate Ament, fine. You're
Nate!
a Milwaukee. Yeah. Watch them take another guard and take Phillip.
Who? Phylon, you mean?
Yeah, excuse me, Phylon.
Yeah, it's funny. I think in 2K they changed his name. They changed his name to like LeBron Phillip.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? I'm like, what? But yeah, Phylon.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I don't. Well, you know, maybe they're interchangeable, right? Maybe you pick him at 10, and then maybe you pick Ament at 13, because like you said, a lot of people don't like Nate Ament, like legit,
right?
like
Let's
scouts
see,
included.
The Bucks, one day after trading Giannis Antetokounmpo to Miami, will be selecting Braden Burries with the number 10 pick. So they took a guard.
That's a good pick.
They took it. Yes,
very good.
So all the things that we said about him for the other two teams, I love how we didn't even mention him as the
Honestly, I thought like maybe OKC picked him up or something like that. That would have been a good pick for them. But
yeah, but it is kind of funny because they have multiple guards, but to be fair, Rollins is probably the only one that like you'd say like he could just be there for a while just because of his contract
sure,
and his age, right? I mean, I guess KPJ is also young-ish, right? But like, who cares in terms of like you're picking who you think is the best guy available in the draft? And I don't have an issue with that.
No, me neither. I think it's a good move. You know, you can never really turn down like youth like that, right? Like this is great. So I like this for Milwaukee a lot, actually. Wow, it's kind of crazy to think like I haven't fully adjusted to like not talking about the Bucks without bringing up Giannis. You know what I mean? Like where it's like, yeah, this guy's gonna fit great next to. Oh crap! Well, I don't even know who's gonna be next to, right? Just because there's no Giannis. So
exactly, and it's like they haven't had like a lot of lottery. They haven't had any lottery picks pretty much in the Giannis since he's been a superstar era, and a handful of guys that they drafted honestly weren't really that good. Yeah, so
freaking Andre Jackson Jr. Who else?
They took AJ Johnson, right? He's in Washington, but he hadn't really played a whole lot, right?
He's not even in Washington anymore. He's in Dallas.
Yeah, because he was in the AD trade, and he didn't play for Dallas much either.
No. So, Uber project. Who else did they pick? Marjon Beauchamp. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I think they also took, what was his name? He was like a big. I think he was in like the NBL or one of those leagues.
I can't remember his name. I know who you're talking about though.
Yeah. Yeah, Jake Fisher said the Warriors are fielding offers
Yeah.
for the number 11 pick.
Good.
Yeah,
Good.
so that's the question. If you're the Warriors, so you believe that they should trade this pick, but the question is, do you just trade down, and be like, because I know there's been rumors about like maybe they trade with Charlotte, where Charlotte gives them the 14th pick and the 18th pick, and then the Warriors just take those two guys. Then Charlotte moves up to 11. If there's like a really good player like a Murphy, could you go out and get them with the 11th pick? Like, what do you even do? Braden Burridge looks like a Calo Boncaro and Jared McCain had a baby. Oh man, I forgot that Jared McCain makes YouTube videos, and
Oh
like
yeah.
his last video was like about them playing the Spurs
Oh really?
in the playoffs, and in the thumbnail, Wemby like in a speech bubble says adios, and I'm like,
Why would you post that, bro? I swear they lost the plot.
yeah, I played the Spurs in the NBA playoffs, and it has 186,000 views, and it was about 3 days ago.
Yeah, that's bad.
So yeah,
I mean, if I'm Golden State though, bro, I would pick Mara. I really would.
okay.
And that's who I had
think I had
mocked.
them- Yeah, I had Yaxel, think mocked there. So I mean, I guess that's the question because they've kind of had a theme recently of picking more of these college guys that are older rookies, right? That kind of come in with some already established skill sets who could play and learn within the system and just automatically contribute. But then I guess unfortunately, then you go back in that 2020 and 2021 draft, like they took Wiseman and Kaminga, where they were just banking on those guys being, raw prospects, but they could potentially turn into something really good, but then that didn't work out. So there's a lot of options for them there. I guess the question is, like, for you, do you think the Warriors should be using their resources like to continue to compete for titles, or do you think like just kind of, I don't want to say pack it up, but like kind of just like make these picks or this pick or whatever you do like towards the future? Because that's kind of like a tough one, I would say. Because like given that you got Steph on the roster,
Yeah, I mean, you got to get as many years out of Steph as you can. I think he's still going strong, obviously. Still one of the, the best players in the league, but I don't know. I mean, I would continue to build around Steph as long as you possibly can, but
Mhm.
yeah, it's kind of tough to do
Yeah, I would too.
in at pick 11 considering this draft, right? Because like who
Right.
else is left? So maybe they just field the pick and like you said, trade back, which I think would be smart, right? Because then you get a little bit more depth while also having some youth and maybe some other guys that'll help out. But maybe you
Yeah.
go for a player too. I don't know what they do, but I'm
Yeah.
curious. This is one of the funkier situations.
It's funny on ESPN on the draft page, they have like best available and best fit, and they have Nate Ament as best available, and then Mara as the best fit for the team, which is kind of interesting. I don't think that I saw that on ESPN before, and I just noticed it because I hadn't, I was
Yeah,
kind of looking at the order
I,
in terms of the team.
I don't know about
So
a Met going there. I don't like that.
yeah, I don't like it
I
either.
like the Mara one for the reasons I talked about in our mock, but that could be interesting, to add him into the screen game with the Warriors.
Learn from Porzingis.
Yeah, exactly. But
Horford.
yeah, like he could seriously be really good because his passing ability is great. It's just when he puts the ball on the floor, he's got to work on that. But
So 40 seconds, I guess, until the pick is in. Do we think that they trade it, or do we think that they just keep it
I
and
think
then
they keep
take?
it.
Okay, but you would trade it.
Yeah, I would trade back.
Okay. Yeah, and I guess if they don't, then I guess they just didn't like, whatever was offered or whatever was available, because I mean, all this stuff is happening like before. It's not like it's not like they're going through all these scenarios beforehand. It's not like they're just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. Maybe some teams are, I guess, because it feels like we've seen that before. But
For sure.
for the most part, I would say these teams, kind of they're talking to everybody and trying to figure out like, hey, what are we gonna do? So, but right now, I am curious to see whether or not they pick a vet or not a vet, but like an older player, or like you said, take a guy like Mara or Nate Ament, I guess. But but yeah, I wouldn't like that as much for the Warriors. But I guess like if you're kind of making the argument of like they need to get younger, more athletic, right? Like a guy like Ament could make sense, but we're about to find out because I think the pick is pretty much in. So now we're just gonna have to wait and see who comes out of it. Right now, the reporting hasn't really fielded anything just yet, but just gonna refresh and see if anything's out here. So
I don't see anything,
yeah, I don't see anything yet either.
which might signify it's been moved.
Yeah, that might signify. Yeah, that could mean that it might be traded because it's got to come in now pretty soon. So
All right. I'm going to get some water because your boy needs it. So I will be right back. Hopefully, nothing
Yeah.
crazy happens while I'm gone.
yeah, well, we'll see if it does. Yeah, but that did come from Jake Fisher. The Warriors are fielding offers for the number 11 pick, so as they should. I'm just curious as to whether or not they actually get anybody to bite. Like I said, I agree with Yarby that they should trade down. I just don't know if they actually will. And they're taking Yaxel Lendeborg. All right, so this is who I had mocked to the Warriors. AJ said if I go to DC, I'll make the playoffs. That's quite a bet. I mean, I know they're in the Eastern Conference, but the Eastern Conference is going to be better, I think, next year. I think it'll be better than a lot of people think, just because some of the teams that people hadn't really thought about, like the Pacers, some of those other teams will be better than they were last season. Yeah, Yaxel to Golden State. That was what was reported out of Michigan. He's another guy where where I do like his overall game. He was a player that I think a lot of people thought could drop in the draft just because of his age. He can play both ends of the floor, but I guess the question is just like, are all these skills actually going to translate? And is he going to actually be really good right away? I think that's the hope because he can defend. He's got a good skill set on the offensive end. He can pass. He's shot the ball reasonably well in college. And he's gotten better pretty much every year. It was Lendeborg. It was Yaxel.
Oh, really?
Yes, it was.
No trade.
That was who I had mocked. Yeah, no trade. That was who I had mocked here.
Nice. That's good.
Yes.
He fits the mold.
Yeah, and this was another one of these guys where, again, the theme with their picks has mostly been they're taking these guys that already have established skill sets. They're not taking a lot of 19-year-old rookies. So I have no issues with that whatsoever. Like I said, I would not have been pleased if they had taken Nate Ament for this pick. I think Yaxel makes a lot of sense.
Me too.
So, if you're a Warriors fan, I would say you should be happy with this pick.
Yeah, this is a great in between, like of what you were talking about, right? Like helping Steph while also looking towards the future.
Yeah, and he's 24, so like I said, he's on the older side, and I don't know. There hasn't been like an amazing track record in terms of like those guys long term, I would say, but like usually like they start off with like good floors. But I don't know. The only concern I would have is most of those guys don't necessarily get that much better, which is kind of what you expect. But is there a fall off, right? Because it's like Duarte. I think I mentioned this when we did the mock draft. It was like Duarte, Connect, right? Like some of these guys. But I think Yaxel should have a skill set that's better than those guys because of his size, because of his two-way ability and the passing and everything else. So he should be able to fit right away. Probably won't, I guess. And while Jimmy Butler's out and Moses Moody's out, probably might as well start him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You have to. And I think, like I said, he fits the mold. Everything that they would want.
Untamed said this dude's yoked. Yeah, he's a big dude. He's like 6'9", 240.
Yeah.
It's
nuts.
Yeah, he's got the grown man NBA body, right? Which again, at 24, that makes a lot of sense.
And if he's a switchable defender, this might be one of the best picks in the draft at this range.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like he should be able to rebound, should be able to pass, should be able to knock down an open shot, should be able to cut. So pretty much everything that the Warriors want their rotational guys to do, he should be able to do. Just a matter of like how long is it going to last, quote unquote.
Pretty much.
So moving on. The next pick in the draft, the Oklahoma City Thunder, right? So thankfully, we didn't have a scenario where OKC got the number 1 pick in the draft, right? Unless you're an OKC fan, of course, which, I mean, we like OKC, right? But I think it would be better for the league if they didn't get the number 1 pick. So let's see, looks like a 30-year-old. I mean, he's 24. So it's
Close.
almost halfway there.
Close enough.
But for OKC, right, I had Nate Ament. So he's still on the board. He may not be an OKC guy though. So it would not surprise me nor would it shock me if they took somebody else. Who did you have mocked at number 12?
Yeah, I had Yaxel
Yeah,
going to
exactly.
Oklahoma City, so that's not
Right.
happening. Do they go Steinbach? They could
That's the
go.
question.
They could go Steinbach if they want.
Is he an OKC guy though?
Nate Ament sure isn't. I can tell you that much.
Yeah. What do you think- what about-
Mara's not.
Right. So it's like, but like those are kind of the best guys on the board though, right?
Acquaintance
So,
isn't.
I don't think
I had
they'll go that
Kareem. I had Kareem Lopez going 17 to them, but I wouldn't take him that high.
Yeah, that's I don't know. That's a tricky one. So
What if they take take Cameron Carr or something? Like something random.
My main argument for Ament was just I thought that like they didn't have a lot of players that are like in that 6'7", 6'8", 6'9" range, where it's like, okay, there's some times when they're out there and they're kind of small compared to some of these other teams, right? Where it's like it would be nice to have that type of player. Caleb Wilson said, I want to be the greatest of all time. Y'all got one of the GOATs in y'all's history, so it's time for another one. Ballsy kids these days. A lot of these young players have a ton of confidence, but in some ways you kind of have to be a psycho, if you want to be able to get to this level.
Oh,
You know what I mean? Like not psycho in like a horrible way, but just in terms of like just the mindset, in terms of all the confidence in the world. Of course, sometimes you have a little bit too much and then it can kind of put you in a bad spot, but it's like you would rather have a guy who's got too much confidence than somebody who doesn't have much confidence. But it gives us a little bit of a mix up, right? Because like sometimes like some people might get tired of the guys who will be like, oh shucks. You know what I mean? Like those type of responses, where it's like kind of the everything's fine, everything's cool, kind of the nonchalant response. But it is different though. But there were definitely guys in the past that were very confident and very loud. I would say it was just a different time. You didn't have the social media, right? And I don't think the NBA was covered quite as much as it was now. So like there were guys that were definitely pretty, for their time, like pretty out there back in the day.
Yeah.
So, but I am curious to see who Oklahoma City picks, just because the draft has changed a little bit. I mean, to be fair, like we kind of thought once you got out of the top 8, 9, you would probably have some changes. The main one that I think was a big shakeup was Johnson Jr., right? Because like we had Burries and Yaxel like mocked somewhere around the spot, but like but most people didn't have Johnson Jr. in there at all. Like I had him at 10, but even that I think would be a reach for a lot of people. I think most people
14,
had him.
bro.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think most people, if you had him in the lottery at all, it was towards the end. So I am curious to see who they take. Like I said, I had a Ment mocked there, but like you said, he may not be an OKC guy. But which OKC guy is here? That I don't know. I don't know if any of the best players available right now. It's a day they took Mara, so there you go. They took another big.
Why? I don't like that.
You don't like it?
Nope.
Okay, so we did talk about Mara. He was a guy who shot up in the draft, right? But there were a lot of people where there was some buzz that he could be like in the top, that he could go like in the top 10. I didn't have him as high. I had him a little bit lower. But at the same time, right? It's kind of hard to ignore the size, right? He's got some passing, he's got some touch, but it would be kind of a weird player on Oklahoma City, right? Because it's like he needs a little bit of time, right, to make his decisions, right?
Yes.
Whereas like with a lot of the other guys, it's like kind of like even like a Hartenstein, even though he's a big, his decision making is very quick, right? Like it's a lot of like instant processing, quick decisions, right? Where it's like bounce pass off the screen or the floater, or things like that. They move on from iHeart most likely. I don't know. I mean, I would think he would just come back. I mean, there's not a lot of teams with cap space. I mean, there are teams that have the exception, but like OKC they could either accept that team option or decline it, and then he just resigns on a cheaper deal. I mean, I could be wrong. I mean, it would make sense anyways. If you think he's gonna be gone, then it would make sense to take some bigs. But it's like we know that you probably ideally would like to have another big playing next to Chet Holmgren, and I don't think Mara would be ready to be a starting center for a championship caliber team, right? That would be very rare for any rookie to be able to pull off something like that, and I don't think it would be him. So I would still think Hartenstein comes back, but it's like at least now you can bring like a big physical big off the bench. So like that's nice just to have that option. But it's also like it is a weird fit just because like OKC doesn't, I mean like they like to get out in transition, especially when they get stops. He's not really a transition player. I guess he can throw the ball in transition, but it's not really as much of his game on offense, right? So
Yeah, I think the Warriors probably messed this up for OKC. I think OKC probably had their eyes on Yaxel, like everybody
mhm.
else in this range. But I'm not personally a fan of this one. I don't like it. I don't know if he fits into the system. I don't even know if he's gonna like play a whole lot. Like where do you even like fit him into the rotation? Do you give him Jay Wills like minutes instead? Like what's the
Mhm.
play here? Seven
How tall is
three.
he? He's 7'3". He's 7'3". He's a
Yeah.
tall
So
human being.
where does he fit in is what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah, that's my thinking. I think he just is for now is the backup big. I mean, like
So and Jay Will's the backup four.
probably.
Yuck. I don't like that.
I mean, because the thing with OKC is like there are guys that they're gonna have no choice but to move on from. Like I said, I would think Hardenstein comes back. If he doesn't come back, I guess you have Mara. But like I said, I just don't think he's ready to be a starting center for a championship level team.
Me too.
So yeah, but like the main thing is you needed another big just to have somebody who can rebound, take up some space, set some screens, muck stuff up. Like you did need a type of player like that. I guess the question is like could there have been another big that you could have taken that you might like the fit better? It is kind of weird.
I mean, the next best available big would be Quaintance, and that's a freaking gamble. And you have
Yeah, exactly.
Sorber too. That's why I'm like, what?
Right. Yeah.
What
So
is
it's
going
like
on?
yeah, and like that's the thing for OKC is like they're in that stage now where they have so many players and not all of them are going to actually be able to play. Like, yeah, you could play 12, 13 guys in the regular season, but like some of those guys like will want to play at some point, right? Like we already know Case and Wallace wants to get paid. He mentioned, I think, after the Spurs series, right? Like that he kind of liked being able to have more of a workload or responsibility on the offensive end. Like, and that's credit to a lot of these guys that like that hasn't really been an issue, but that's not going to be the case forever. So this could be like one of those insurance type picks in case something happens. This was a Wemby counter pick. LOL. I've heard some people kind of look at it from that perspective where it's like that's one of the reasons why he shot up because people are kind of now Wemby is kind of in that tier of like, all right, as a team, we have to figure out how to counter this guy. I think you could at least quote unquote maybe counter it by getting some 5-out type of players.
Sure.
I mean, can you trust that Mara is going to be a good 3-point shooting big? Or is
No.
that even like a skill set that makes a lot of sense, like given his size? I mean, that would be the counter I would have for Wemby. I mean, obviously you need size and physicality, right? Like that's part of what the Knicks had, that OKC didn't have quite as much. But it's a different one. It's a different one. So I guess you like the player, you just don't like the pick here,
Yeah,
right? Or do you?
I don't like him on Oklahoma City. I already told you
Okay.
I would have had him at the
Yeah.
Warriors. I think the Warriors is a great fit because he can. I
Hmm.
don't want to say be like a hub, but yeah, if he can do a lot of dribble handoffs. I just don't see that working with Oklahoma City. Like you said, the timing, the slow pace, it's a different style of play that I just don't think meshes well.
Yeah, and it's like you do have to be able to play different styles, I guess, if you're OKC. I'm just very curious to see how they get this one to work. Because it's definitely a different look compared to the types of players that they have. Because even Hartenstein is a big guy, but you wouldn't really call him slow. I mean, like obviously he's not like I mean, I wouldn't call him like a quote unquote run the floor type big, but like, he can catch lobs, he can, and just the passing is better than Mara. But maybe that's kind of the blueprint. Maybe Hartenstein is like, oh, he can kind of teach him and show him some things. Michigan's 3 players got picked. Yeah, we all knew that those guys would get picked relatively quickly, right? Like, were they all going to get picked in the lottery was the question, but like we at least knew that 2 of those guys were going to be in the lottery. Morris Johnson Jr., I think, was the one that people were probably, I don't know. I don't think he was universally considered a lottery guy. So he was probably the one that was like that quote unquote odd man out. But yeah, they all got picked. So congratulations to Mays. And then I guess congratulations to him on getting that coaching gig. So now we're at 13. It's Miami, but it's not Miami. It's Milwaukee. They already took Braden Burries. Who is the next guy that you would pick? Now I had Dalen Swain.
Right.
You had a completely different player.
Yeah, I have Phylon going here. And now it's going to Milwaukee. I'd still pick Phylon if I'm Milwaukee. I think it just makes sense, right? This guy, best handle in the draft, I think. Knockdown shooter. Pretty much everything that you'd want out of a guard. So very slept on for sure. Well, there it is.
Yes.
Screw whatever I was talking about.
Yeah, so that was kind of, and you had him mocked at 10. Yeah. So like either way, the Bucks ended up taking him. That's so good. They kind of had, so, and like you said, like it was like, okay, since you have these 2 picks, if you know that both of those guys are going to be there, then like take the main one that you want first, then take the other guy second. And that's pretty much what they did.
It's a great pickup. I like it.
Yeah. For this team, this makes sense. Because again, he's going to need time to develop. He's got some good skill sets, I guess, in terms of like he's 6'10", he can handle the ball, can do a lot of stuff at that height.
Yeah.
But he's still pretty raw, and he's going to need a little bit of time, I think, to probably get to whatever his quote unquote final form end game version. But on a team like this, that's perfectly fine, right? Like that's why, like honestly, this would make more sense than like an OKC, where it's like you're competing for the championship, so you don't have as much time to just wait for some of these guys to develop. Whereas like if you're Milwaukee, you got all the time in the world, like Spy Kids, because you already made the deal to pretty much, send Giannis out. Now you got a rebuilding team. So
pretty much.
Untamed said Bucks fleeced Miami bad. So you like these picks for Milwaukee? One of them would have happened no matter what because they already had the 10th pick. So at least for now, if you're Milwaukee, we're not going to know who they pick with those future picks. But it's like you got Jaquez, you got Hero, you got Ware, you got Burries, you got Ament. So you got a lot back in terms of like current and future pieces.
Yeah, I'm curious what goes on here. Bucks fleece Miami bad. Yeah, I would agree. Like I said, you basically got the I don't want to say the main depth pieces of Miami, but you got a lot of good stuff there. Like I think there's some promising loot in that pool. I'm gonna be honest.
His career trajectory will be great because he's on a young Wizards like team where you're free to be yourself right now. Exactly. Like that's where like this type of team makes sense for him, just because it's like, you have like a young team. Now the Wizards, they're in a little bit of a different spot, right? Because I think their mindset to try to win next year is probably a little higher than Milwaukee's, right? I'm not saying Milwaukee doesn't want to win, but like since you already have like Trae Young, maybe AD, right? And you already have a bunch of young pieces that you've been drafting over the last several years. They're in that like next phase after Milwaukee where it's like, we're a young team, but now we're looking to take the next step to actually try to win some games. Like Milwaukee will quote unquote try to win games, right? Because there's no point in tanking anymore. I just don't know if they're actually going to be good enough to win a lot of games.
Right.
So that's whereas like, a team like the Wizards, it's like the best case scenario of that team could be a team that would win more games compared to a team like the Bucks.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Yeah, but like for a Nate Ament, like this team, like Milwaukee is fine because like, who are you? You're not competing against veteran guys for minutes. I guess Kuzma's on the team, but like other than that, and Jaquez, like you're still gonna play. You're gonna have opportunities to grow. They just got a new coach. and Taylor Jenkins. So like, yeah, right. But like last year's Wizards was like a free for all, similar to the Bucks now. Yeah, last year was a free for all.
Yeah, it was rough.
Yeah, but you're out of that now. So
Yeah,
you're out.
hopefully.
Yeah, you're right.
One can
Hopefully,
hope.
but it's like,
It's not a
yeah,
guarantee.
but like now, but there's no more tanking this year.
Right. Yeah, and
Yeah,
that's
so
good.
it's like
It should be more
now,
of a fun watch.
right now you have expectations where you're hoping that all those guys, in terms of their plans and everything, now actually can kind of grow and come together.
Yeah, I have so many questions about this Wizards roster, man. I really do.
Oh yeah, there's because we're not quite sure if it's in its fully fleshed out form just yet, because there's still a couple of questions, right? You know, you still have a couple of guys where like, because you already mentioned AD. I guess D'Lo opted in, but it's like,
Oh wow, buy that guy out, bro. I don't want him near my team.
yeah. So next up, Charlotte Hornets, 14th pick. What are they doing?
Yeah, I had them taking Morez Johnson Jr., but he is no longer on the board somehow. Yeah, I don't know what they do. They could just take Dalen Swain, honestly. And I had him mocked there too, actually. So who knows? They have 2 picks here, so maybe they take Quaintance. That could be interesting.
Yeah,
Or Steinbach. I think they need to go big though.
Yeah, because it's like right now, by all means, try and be as good as possible. Yeah, but yeah, you're right. Like that, because like if you're Charlotte, like right now, like they have centers, but I don't know, like none of those guys are like, oh yeah, this guy is a starting center for sure on this good version of the Charlotte Hornets team, right? Like Diabate did a good job. They drafted Kalkbrenner, who was okay, right? He was fine, but like, I mean, there's a lot of different options here. So, but I would probably go big. I think because they had 2 firsts. I think for the second pick I had Lopez, but for the first pick I also had a big as well. So I had Steinbach going here.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I like that.
Yeah, exactly. So I like Diabate and Kalk. Yeah, exactly. Like those guys aren't bad. It's just like the question is do you feel comfortable with those guys being your starting centers? But the other question is, do these other centers here on the board, are they centers that they believe could actually start? Like if you took Steinbach, could he actually be the starting center and just beat out those other guys right away? Because like, you know, the thing with Diabate is people love the energy, the length, the athleticism, and that's not really Steinbach, but like he can rebound, you know, he's got good hands. You know, he's got good footwork. Maybe get one backup center and one backup point guard. Yeah, exactly. Oh, my bad. I misread the I misread my mock draft. This was where I had Phylon.
Oh, you had Phylon going Charlotte? Oh yeah, because of the Trey Man thing, right? That's what it was.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I had Phylon going here. Yep, okay. This is what I had.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so yeah, exactly. Because it's like, yeah, Kobe White. I mean, I guess they could bring him back, and it's like more insurance for LaMelo Ball. But if they picked a big, it's like that wouldn't be bad either. So
yeah,
so I think you can make the case for either position. And it's Steinbach, so that's the selection for number 14 in Charlotte. So they took a big man.
I like that.
Yeah, and that makes sense because again, they need somebody with size who can rebound, play inside, be active. He's got good footwork. So, I mean, you know, he averaged what, 19 and 12 at Washington, a little over a block. He shot 34% from 3, only on 2 attempts, 76 from the free throw line. So he could be able to space the floor. I mean, size-wise, he's what? A little over 6'10", 250, 7'2" wingspan. So, you know, just the thing with Charlotte is it felt like for them last year, the weakness for them is like they're very perimeter oriented. And it's like they have good shooters, but you need to balance it out with somebody who can play on the inside as well to give them a little bit more, you know, to give them a little bit more versatility. Because it's like there's the nights where like, oh, we can't hit anything from 3, and we're just going to get bodied and bullied by bigger physical teams. Like we saw that against Orlando, right? Where they got creamed in that play-in game. Kobe's gonna cost more though, and he had a bad season. But we'll see what they do with Kobe in their next pick.
Yeah, I'm curious. This is interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the other thing is like you mentioned, Untamed. Like, yeah, it's like Kobe White. What is Charlotte gonna do? Are they gonna re-sign him and bring him back? Like they could. If they don't, then that's where you take one of these guards potentially in the draft. Just be like, but I mean, he's a good player. So it's just the question is like, how much does he cost? Are you going to be comfortable paying that if you're Charlotte? I mean, but it is funny because they've had a lot of guards the last couple of seasons outside of just LaMelo Ball. So they've done a good job in the draft these last couple of seasons. So I mostly trust them. Although, Salon, I don't know about that. But
Yeah, that guy is not it, bro.
yeah, but like in terms of like, Knipple, Brandon Miller. Well, I guess that was like the last year of Jordan's ownership, but I think the front office was still the same, like of this current one.
Yeah.
So yeah, like Miller, Knipple. I mean, even like a Kalkbrenner is okay, but like, yeah, I would mostly trust them in terms of like what they've been doing recently. So I like this one, Charlotte.
Yeah, me too.
So next up is the 15th pick. This is the Chicago Bulls. This is where I had Mara, just because I was lower on him and they didn't have a center. This was before they drafted Claxton. I don't necessarily think that matters a ton, but like it could matter. So who did you have them taking?
I had them taking Jaden Quaintance here.
Yeah, so you had a big as well.
Yeah, I think it was it's smart for them to go big here because the big man depth is, like you said, pretty much non-existent.
Yeah,
but I think it's the smart thing to do.
Right, Talon was so hyped it caught up to him. He was another one of these guys where he shot up in the draft, right? Where it was like no one really initially had him mocked that high, and then like in the week or two leading up to the draft, kind of like Koulibaly, right? Like he's just shot up in the draft.
Yep.
But then so far, Salon hasn't really panned out a whole lot, right? Like, I mean, he wasn't really that much of a big part of their rise this season. So,
no,
I mean,
no, he was not.
Yeah, so maybe he could be like a second draft guy, but with all the guys that they have on this team that they've kind of entrenched, I don't necessarily know if he's like a long-term guy there. That one might have just been a miss.
Yeah. I think that's a bust, bro.
Yeah, I think that one might have been a miss. I mean, I didn't have him mocked that high anyways. I'd have to go back and look at where he was, but I don't know. Like sometimes I don't always love like mocking these guys that come in late high because I feel like then when they actually get in, it's like, oh, well, that's why they weren't initially mocked that high. He was drafted 6th, but that was also the 24 draft, so that was just a weird draft, right? Like, I mean, we already know what happened with that draft. So
yeah, that was a rough one.
Yeah, I mean, like, because he wasn't the only one that hasn't panned out, right? I mean, like, you got him, you got Dillingham, and there's a couple other guys where it's like, I'm watching you,
That
right?
draft class
like,
was amazing.
Yeah. Like, I'm watching you, Ron Holland. I'm not saying Ron Holland is bad, but like, I'm watching you because he was drafted 5th overall, and so far he hasn't been quite what I was hoping he would be just yet.
I agree.
I don't know if it's just the fit, but so far. I don't know. Cody Williams, I'm watching you too. You had a good stretch the latter half of the season with the Jazz, so that's good. But I need to continue to see more because you were drafted in the top 10.
Yeah, and he's not good.
Yeah, so that's where I'm curious to see. And then, but yeah, I think we feel like Chicago. Yeah, you probably just need another center because it's like you got Caleb Wilson, so you fill out your front court.
Yeah, and that's a smart thing to do.
Yeah. Would you like it if they took Phylon here?
Well,
no. Okay.
I wouldn't be opposed to it.
Just thinking about like if you're gonna take a guard, like could he be a decent pick for them?
Yeah, it works. Like I said, that's my personal favorite in the draft. But still, I think you have to go big here.
Yeah, so I am curious to see.
I think Memphis should pick Phylon.
Yeah, I think I had Quaintance mocked here.
Okay, smart.
Yeah,
that works.
Yeah, exactly. Because like outside of Edie, they don't really have other bigs on the roster. So, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
I had Steinbach mocked to Memphis.
Yeah, Swain.
Oh my gosh.
Wait.
Okay.
Hold on.
So Dalen Swain
Dalen Swain
got picked.
My guy.
Dalen Swain got picked by Chicago. Yeah, I don't like that one.
My guy.
I don't like that.
Adding to the driving and finishing and transition play. Problem is, defensively, so far, not impressed.
No.
Jumper, not impressed either.
Meh.
I mean, I guess
So-so.
it's gotten better. It's gotten better. I did like his rebounding. And his passing was okay. I mean, he still turned the ball over a lot, but like, you know, I did like the fact that it's like, okay, you're a guard, you're 6'6", you're big and physical, and you're rebounding. So like that's good because that at least kind of implies that you have a willingness to play physical and to kind of use that frame of yours, right? So I like that he should be able to come in and have a skill set in terms of like getting out in transition, getting to the basket, just bullying. What is he like, a Josh Hart?
No.
No.
I don't even
No.
know how you describe this guy. How do you
THT?
describe him?
THT?
Kind of.
Is he like like maybe kind of, but like Derek Jones, he's a lot bigger than Derek Jones though, and I don't think he's quite as athletic. He's not as athletic as he is.
It's not like Keldon Johnson. I don't know how to explain it, bro.
Yeah, it's tough. It's kind of weird. Like he's a good athlete. He's just not a great athlete. And he's not like a great shooter. He's not right now like a great defender, but he's like physical. He can rebound. I don't know. Like I said, maybe THT isn't really a great comp, but it's like I can't think of one specific player that I would probably compare him to.
Yeah, I mean he provides rim pressure.
Yeah, exactly. Like just another guy that can help you get to the rim. So he has room to improve. Oh yeah, he
That's an
he needs
understatement.
he needs to improve as a shooter, as a defender. I think his decision making has gotten better, but that would also probably have to improve as well. And I would be curious as to whether or not like does he play like big guard wing or does he play like kind of small ballish forward? Because
I
like
just don't like
'cause
this
that
for Chicago though.
I mean I didn't have him mocked here.
Me neither. I
So-
have him going to Charlotte.
Yeah. So yeah, and then like that makes sense just as okay, they don't have a lot of physical drivers, so get a guy like that. So I mean at this pick, he doesn't have to be a starter. It's just I would hope that he should be able to play some minutes. But I think he's one of the more polarizing players, I would say. It's like, but I don't have like a direct comp, I would say, because he's like a blend of different players. Like you know, I could see the thought process of Josh Hart just because of the rebounding. He's just not. I mean, you know, and like Josh Hart is not like a quick, crazy athlete. If he plays the two, they're eating rebounds easy as a team. They literally have deer-like players. And he averaged 7.5 rebounds a game. So his last year at Texas. So
Yeah.
and he's about to turn 21. So he's got 6'10" wingspan. So he's got long arms, big physical frame. So you know, I don't know. Some of those type of players I do like, but those are always like very polarizing players where it's like you could get a guy like a Jarvis Walker where it's like he's kind of just I don't know, just there's not really a whole lot to say about him right now. But then there's like other guys like say like a completely different, but like a Draymond Green where it's like okay, something like that could work.
Pretty much.
But, yeah, so these last few picks they chose his frame pretty much in his engine. Yeah, and like that's the thing is with Chicago, it's a different front office and it's a different coaching staff, like I mentioned with Caleb Wilson. So it's like on paper, I should trust what the Bulls are doing a little bit more so than I would have in the past. But at the same time, I need to continue to see them actually invest in developing these guys because they don't have, in my opinion, like a great track record for developing young players as of late.
Yeah.
But it could be changing. And to be fair, they haven't had a lot of top picks either. So that could be part of it as well, right? They had that extended stretch where it's like we're building around Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan and Vucevic, and then like one by one, like all those guys were blipped out of the Bulls.
Yep.
So
Oh,
that's
man.
where like so that's where I'm hopeful that this like new group can kind of come in and change some things, and maybe like with the changes in the draft lottery rules, like maybe they'll continue. I guess they'll continue to try to compete, but like again, is that a team that's going to be that great? Like probably not, but
Who knows?
yeah, who knows? But I don't. I like the Claxton pickup fine, and then obviously the draft pick of Caleb Wilson is cool. Swain I was surprised at, but
Me too.
I mean it's the 15th pick, so now you're out of the lottery, so it doesn't hurt you quite as much as if like you pick somebody bad like in the top 10.
Yep.
Yeah.
We'll
So
see.
now, yeah, exactly. So now moving, like I said, we're at the 16th pick. So Memphis Grizzlies. Like I said, acquaintance. Obviously, that's a guy that's a question mark just because of his injury history. But they could go in the direction of a guard or a big, because like guard wise, like now that we don't know what's going to happen with Ja. Does he stay here long term? We don't know. So you could potentially try to see if you could take Phylon and be like, yeah, he can be our guard of the future, along with this other group of young players that they have, right? Where it's like Cedric Coward and Zach Edey, Cam Boozer. So, and if you do that and kind of complete that group, like I kind of like that young core, if that's your rebuilding plan.
Yeah.
But I don't know which direction they go in terms of guard or big.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting because I had Steinbach being mocked here, but
Yeah,
that's no longer.
So let's see. From Jake Fisher, halfway through the first round of the 2026 NBA draft, we've yet to see a trade of picks outside of Miami sending number 13 to Milwaukee for Giannis Antetokounmpo, but we're expecting plenty of movement in the second half, particularly across picks 20 through 30. So he's making the promise. He's saying like, "Oh, don't worry, there's going to be some trades."
Okay.
I like what teams did early in this draft. Going to be a good group of youngsters.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the thing is, yeah.
No, I said, oh yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, there's a number of good players, especially in the early portion of the draft. This portion of the draft, I'm curious in terms of like what these teams do, because there's not as many guys where it's like you love them. There might be players that you might like, but not as many where it's like, oh, this is awesome. Like, we're super pumped and super thrilled that we got this guy. Like, and that's where like you could see some movement with some of these other picks.
Yeah, I'm curious. They're talking about all these trades that are going to potentially happen.
Right.
What trade? Am I missing something?
Yeah, and that's my question. My question would be like, what are the deals? Like, I mean, I guess like, because how many of these guys are teams going to feel like we want to move up to get? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, of the players that are remaining that you could take in the first round, which guys do these teams maybe in the lower spots move up to try to take? Unless you're like, like if you're Memphis, right? Like, do you not like any of the guys available right now? And you're just like, hey, let's just trade down. And like, this team can take this guy that we don't really want.
That'd be
Or do you
smart. I mean, you already have Boozer.
Right. So that's what I'm pretty curious about. But now, yeah, so do you have like because taking the top 5 or whatever out of it, like say 10 through 15, which pick do you like the most? I feel like that's, oh, you're good.
So I was watching. I have the draft feed up, and
Yeah.
The moderator for the draft panel was like, "Yeah, we've got Cameron Boozer and the 4th pick, Caleb Williams."
Oh no.
Yeah, that
that's
was bad. And then Wilson made a face. He looked at the camera like, "WTF?" Sorry, what was your question?
I was gonna say picks 10 through 15. Which one is your favorite?
Picks 10 through 15. Let's look at
Yes,
let's look at the order.
Yeah, Burries, Yaxel, Mara, Ament, Steinbach, and Swing.
These are terrible, bro. Probably Yaxel or
Yeah.
Yaxel. I like Burries, but I'd probably go Yaxel and Steinbach. How about that?
Yeah, I
Those
agree.
are my two guys.
Untamed. It all comes down to a combination of fit, heart, and development. The NBA is moving more towards involving young guys actively in their early years rather than waiting on them. And that's kind of the interesting thing because, like, you know, you had OKC win the title a couple seasons ago. Spurs made the finals, but the Knicks did win the championship this year, right? And they were kind of the one team compared to some of the other teams of the last few years where they didn't really build their team or like acquire their stars through the draft. They more so, oh my goodness, Bennett Sturts.
For
Bennett
Memphis?
Sturts? Wait, hold on. That's what it says on NBA.com.
I don't like that.
But
Yeah, they just called it.
yeah, Bennett Sturts.
Jeez.
Okay. So I had him much lower. I think I had him at 26 to Denver. I did not have him 16th.
Well, let me see where I
Um,
had him.
OKC traded 2 second-round picks. Is that the Wiggins deal we're talking about, or is that a different thing?
I had Sturts going to Detroit.
Yeah. So yeah, we both. So you had him at 21.
Yeah.
Okay, so you had him a little higher than me, but like neither of us had him above 20. So that's definitely a surprise. I mean, I guess he's kind of like more of a, I don't want to say like traditional point guard, but like he's a good passer, right? He can shoot the ball very well. He's 6'2", so he's kind of small, right? But he was very good in college. He averaged 20 points, you know, a little over 4 assists, 36 from 3. So, I mean, we kind of thought that, like, okay, if Memphis doesn't take a big, maybe they take a guard to kind of complete this young core, regardless of whatever happens with Ja. They also have Ty Jerome, so I guess, you know, like, I'm curious, like, does he just slide to the starting guard spot? But, you know, so they have a lot of point guards on it, and Scottie Pippen Jr. So, like, they have a lot of point guards on that roster. So, feels like one of them is getting moved to
Yeah.
Memphis for 16.
I'm confused about this one. I'm not gonna lie, but I mean, I like his
Come on.
game.
Yeah, I would have had Phylon over him. Oh, okay. So that's what he's talking about. Shams Charania, Thunder get Bennett Sturts, Grizzlies get 2 second-round picks.
Oh,
So it's OKC. So it's OKC that takes the pick. Okay.
Well, that's much better. I like that.
Yes. Yeah. So and now I guess they also have some multiple guards on the roster, I guess, too, right? So
Yeah, you got what? Shea,
okay.
Wallace,
Wallace,
Topic, and
Sturts.
Sturts.
Yeah, so interesting.
Yeah, they're not winning the title. Anyways,
Okay. So they opted to get 2 guys in the draft. So they got Mara and they got Sturts in the first round.
I mean, that's smart though. For second round picks, why not?
Yeah, because I think they were gonna have the 17th pick, right? So then who's next? I think OKC is 17th, right? Because then they didn't trade the pick.
Yeah, dang. Wait, so they're gonna pick again?
I guess, yeah, because they traded the 2 seconds. Yeah, so that's interesting. So now they're going to have 3 players in the first round that they're putting on their team.
Why didn't they just combine? You know what? Let me be quiet. I'm not going to question Presty.
Exhaust your treasure chest of picks. LOL. Keep it rolling. That's funny. Yeah, so that took a minute for me to kind of process. So thank you, Untamed, for the tidbit, because that threw me off a little bit. So OKC's taking Bennett Sturts, and then the Grizzlies are just going to get 2 seconds. But then OKC is still on the clock at 17. This is the pick that they got from Philly, right? So they already took Mara. They took Sturts. Who's the next guy they pick? Do they take Kareem Lopez?
So I had mocked.
Yeah, I had him, I think, at 18 going to Charlotte, but so it kind of throws off the mock draft a little bit for me and for you, I guess, as well.
Big time. My mock draft has been off the rails, bro.
Yeah. Good. Let them get all these guys. They're bound to trade right after this draft. They're gonna get like 10 players. Oh man. Yeah, and so Scoto, yeah, so he said it too. So yeah, so Sturts is going to OKC. Do you like you like him going to OKC more than Memphis?
Yeah, a lot.
Okay,
Yeah, that's much better.
yeah, just to have another guy who can shoot, who can help
Yeah.
kind of run your offense.
He's gonna be a
Because
Peyton Pritchard type of player, bro.
yeah, because we already saw in the playoffs. I mean, J-Dub didn't play, but we already kind of saw like if you don't have J-Dub, then you're kind of really lacking in terms of like shot creation, being able to like run the offense. Jovic is on the trade block now for Miami. Yeah, I mean he didn't have a good year last year. So like if you're Miami, you're either stuck with him or you're just dumping him. But like I mean, look at the last couple of guys. I mean, like, are you getting anything back for Jovic? Like they might just have to like trade seconds or something to open up the roster spot or get under the tax or whatever it is or the apron. I don't know if they're actually going to get back something from him. I guess because he's young, maybe there's a team that could take a chance on him. I don't know which team that would be. Maybe you just bank on last year was bad, but the previous 2 years were okay. Maybe that's what you're banking on, but I don't know. It was a weird year for him last year, but also the Heat last year were a weird team. So, I mean, they were good to begin the year. Then they weren't. Then they got good again. And then towards the end of the season, they couldn't defend. And then they fell all the way to the 10 spot and then lost in the play in.
And one of their players scored 83 points.
That did happen. So he's the guy that scored the most points in the game for that team on a team that has Giannis, who scored 64, I think, or whatever in a game. So, yeah. So I guess the question is do we like what OKC is doing in terms of like getting these three players in the first round? Like, does that actually mean that maybe they move on from some of those guys? Like, does that actually mean like goodbye Hartenstein, goodbye Lou Dort? Like, does that actually mean that that's what's going to happen? Like,
think
you think
so.
all those guys? Okay.
Yeah, I think Hart's gone. I think Dort is definitely gone. So, you know, I guess that's the name of the game. They're just reduce, reuse, recycle, reuse, you know, whatever the freaking song is.
Yeah, and then I guess the question is like, are these guys that are coming in, are they going to be able to make up and replace what they provided? Especially Hardenstein, right? Because I know Dort didn't have a good year last year, but just, you know, that might be a lot to ask for those guys.
Maybe. I mean, Twin Towers, it's kind of underrated, bro. But we'll see.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of the Mara pick because you already have Sorter, but
yeah, because that's the question. Can it work with Mara like it did with Hardenstein? I just think they're fundamentally different players.
extremely.
Yeah, so, but I am curious to see who OKC takes at 17 to kind of complete the triumvirate. Okay, so the Detroit Pistons are acquiring the number 17 pick and will select Ibuka Okori. Okay, I did not expect that at all.
Are we serious?
This is from Michael Scoto.
Are we serious?
Yeah, yeah.
I had him at like dang near 30.
Yeah, I had him at the end of the first round too. Yeah, so another Grizzlies trade. Memphis is trading number 17 to the Detroit Pistons to move back to number 21 for 3 second-round picks. Okay, so this would have been Memphis's pick. And then now they're giving it to Detroit and then just swapping places with Detroit. And then Detroit took a Corey. So do you like this pick for Detroit?
Yeah. This is a sleeper. Okay. This is like I don't want to say like a gamble pick, but like he's literally like 6 feet. But his feel for the game, his IQ for the game is very, very good. I don't know what type of role he's going to have, but this is kind of the philosophy, I guess, that I was kind of advocating for when it came to Bennett Sturts, right? Because you want a point guard that can come off the bench, be that, you know, Peyton Pritchard type of guy. And I think he has that in him potentially if they can, you know, get that out of him. He showed the flashes for sure in college, right? Can command an offense. And the number one goal for Detroit should definitely be, you know, maybe the defense takes a slight hit at the cost of being able to create around Cade when, you know, he's just, you know, not available, right? Or he's not on the floor, because that's the problem. The offense is really stagnant when the ball isn't in Cade's hands, right? So I think it's smart to get another facilitator on this team.
Yeah, and that's kind of the argument for why some people mention like Hero could go to Detroit, right? Just like another guy offensively who could shoot the ball and take some pressure off of Cade, and you have the defensive infrastructure where it may not hurt you the way that it does for other teams. Could he start? Do you think with Cade, or do you see him like as a backup off the
Backup.
bench? And it's like, okay, so what does that do for Jeez,
What, Dennis
uh,
Jenkins?
yeah, Dennis Jenkins.
I mean, Jenkins is fine, but I think,
Yeah.
like I said, this guy's going to be more of a calming presence than Jenkins,
Mhm.
where Jenkins is great in the regular season, but a little up and down otherwise. So, like I said, they just need something that's not going to stagnate.
Yeah, Untamed says, don't feel bad about your mock rankings. You don't take trades into account. And we knew, like, specifically with this draft, we knew that there was going to be a level of, trading and I don't want to call it chicanery, but like we knew that there was the potential for there to be a lot of movement. And so like, and that's sometimes, and like in this draft, a lot of these guys, once you get out of the lottery, it's kind of like everybody's taking like who they want, who they like going to that team more so than like, oh, this guy is the absolute best player available. Cause like some of them, there may not be as much of a gap, but it depends on how you feel. So yeah, Jake Fisher said still working through the picks, but the Grizzlies are moving down again, trading number 17 now to Detroit for number 21. Pistons are going to scoop up. All right, so that's pretty much what we heard. So he's going to Detroit. Memphis moves down to 21. Number 18 is Charlotte. So they already took Steinbach 14th. 18th, I had Lopez mocked here. They could take Phylon. He could just fall. Maybe he goes to Toronto, right? Maybe he goes to San Antonio. I'm not sure. But this was where I had Lopez just to kind of like, I guess, I don't want to say replace Salon, but just like to have like another guy who can run the floor, get out in transition. I know he didn't shoot that great, in the NBL or whatever, but just like another guy that could just probably fit into the offensive framework of what Charlotte wants to do.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. I had him initially mocked to OKC at 17, but
Right.
no,
No.
I think yeah. I mean, I think this
Yeah.
works. This is equally as good, right? It's a swing,
Mhm.
and I think it's a swing that's probably going to pay off.
Yeah, so we'll see who Charlotte takes at 18. But right now, I am curious to see if there's any other teams that are going to be involved in any deals because they warned us. They said the trades were coming. So
we questioned it, and questions have been answered.
yeah, yeah, it was a little bit confusing because initially it didn't. Initially, it sounded like that Memphis was just giving the number 16 pick to OKC for 2 seconds,
Right.
or whatever. They didn't really mention that, like, oh, they moved to 17. It was just kind of weird, and that happens sometimes. Where like when you have multiple people reporting on the draft, sometimes some of the details get a little bit, I don't know, mixed around. So,
Yeah.
but if that's the case, Memphis got like 5 second-round picks then. To move 5 spots back in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what they're going to do with the second round picks, but some teams like will use that as quote unquote like currency to swap out some guys, right? Like
Sure.
where it'll be like, oh, we're going to use like Minnesota, right? Like used a bunch of second round picks with Dillingham to get Dosunmu.
Yep.
Right? Where or
What?
so like could Memphis,
What?
well, no, I'm just saying, like I'm just trying to think of like something where like, oh, a team used a bunch of second round picks because I think it was the 2023 trade deadline that we did where it was like so and so gets traded for like 5 seconds or like this other player gets traded for like 3 seconds, right? But
Mm-hmm.
we had, and then that kind of happened at this deadline, like I said, and Dosunmu was like one of the top guys that happened for, right? It was like 3 or 4 second round picks with Dillingham
Oh yeah.
to go to Minnesota.
Never fails.
Thank you, Shams. To recap, the Grizzlies moved back from number 16 to number 17, then number 17 to number 21, accumulating 5 second-round picks to move back just 5 spots. Like I said, that's the tricky part. We're like, yeah, we're not gonna always automatically know everything right away,
Right.
so they're gonna have to come back in and fill in the gaps, which can be kind of annoying. But for live stream content purposes, just because sometimes you're just kind of stuck in a loop and just waiting.
Yep.
But I am, but like I said, for Charlotte, I feel like either wing or guard probably makes more sense here since you already took a center.
Yeah, could go Christian
So
Anderson, could go Cameron Carr. I don't know, dude.
yeah, so you had Phylon already, you had Phylon ranked on the board already, right?
Oh
Like,
yeah.
and so he's clearly falling. Why do you think he might be falling? Or did you have him mocked higher than most people?
Okay. Well, Charlotte just picked Christian Anderson,
Okay, so there you go. It's the name you
but
just mentioned.
yeah, which is wild. But with Phylon though, I don't know. Because like, bro, when I watch the highlight tapes, phenomenal.
Mhm.
No holes in the game. Like he's a willing playmaker, but he's gonna hunt his shot first, obviously. But it's not like he's a ball hog or anything like that. Maybe his workouts weren't good. I don't know what happened, but yeah, this is a guy I kind of expected in the lottery, but a lot of people had him out way outside of the lottery. But he did get a
Mhm.
green room invite. Doesn't mean a whole lot nowadays, but
No.
you know, I don't know.
But but in the case of Christian Anderson, very, very good shooter, right? Maybe one of the best shooters in the class, if not the best,
Mm-hmm.
right? Average 18.5 points, 7 assists a game, shot 41.5% from three on 8 attempts per game.
Yeah.
So on a team that already is like a 3-point sniping team, that could be a pick where it's like, okay, that's another guard you can put into the rotation. Maybe if some guys are out, maybe to give some guys a breather, he just comes in and just fires away, and that just kind of is another stacking on top of your strengths for a team like this.
Yeah, I like it. I had him mocked one pick after this, so can't really complain too much. I thought Toronto would pick him, but hey, Charlotte, it's a great pick for them
Mm-hmm.
for exactly the same reasons you mentioned.
Yeah. So next up is the Toronto Raptors, right? So there's a lot of different directions that they could go here, right? I believe I had them taking one of the centers, right? Just because of the fact that I was thinking, okay, like you have Jakob Pertl,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like he might be a little bit physically cooked at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not his fault. It just seems like he's had a lot of back issues, so it may make a little bit of sense to to take another big, but at the same time, they could also go for a guard if they don't feel super comfortable with quickly. He's making a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of different directions that they could go in, and I'm actually pretty curious as to who they take because I like some of the last few picks that they've taken recently.
Yeah, me too. I think Toronto probably picks Phylon. I would hope.
Mhm.
I think you should go offense and try and replace IQ, something along those lines. But yeah, I had Christian Anderson going here anyway. So, like I said, I think guard is definitely an option. But Cameron Carr could be the guy that they choose. I don't know. They could choose a lot of people, honestly, or they could be weird and just pick Koa Pete.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, that could be what could happen. Like I said, I am curious just because there's a lot of different directions that they could go in here.
Yeah,
So, or could should they consider trading down at all?
no.
Okay. Yeah, because I guess now that you're at the end of the first round or the last part of the first round, you're kind of getting to the point where it's like these are teams that made the playoffs. So what they prioritize and what they're looking for might be a little bit different, excuse me, than some of the teams towards the top of the draft.
These are
This is where you're getting to like Toronto, San Antonio, not Detroit, but Memphis, which is a little bit different. Philly, Atlanta, New York. So what they're looking at might be a little bit different.
mm-hmm.
So so if you're Toronto, what? No, I'm just kind of thinking. If you're Toronto, I mean, you had a good showing in the first round, but you probably do need to continue to improve. But you have a lot of money locked up with a bunch of players on the roster, right? Because it's like Barnes, Ingram, Quickly, Jakob Pertl are all on like long-term max deals. I think Barrett has like maybe 1 or 2 years left, so he could be the odd man out. So this is kind of a weird team. I mean, like I think they were better than what most people thought. I think we had them as a playoff team. We thought it would go long, but like what else do they need to do to take the next step forward? Is it kind of like replace one of these guys, swap someone out, just hope that they continue to develop? Because it's not like because they have some young players, but I don't know if I would call it like a super young team.
I think the play is trying to move on from IQ, honestly. But
Mhm.
then they have young guys that are kind of unproven still. Like I'm 50-50 on Grady Dick for sure.
Right.
Yeah, I'm just 50-50 on their young guys, except for like Colin Murray Boyles. I think he's like the only one that's like a certified hit, but the rest of them are kind of iffy. And then big man position too. Like, what on earth is going on? I don't know. Maybe they go. They could be a Quaintance team. Could be like, maybe they pick Quaintance or they pick Phylon. I don't know.
Yeah, but yeah, like
Either of those directions would be fine with me.
yeah, I guess because like Colin Murray Boyles, he actually was very good for a rookie. But do you want to? Let's see. So the Toronto Raptors will select Alan Graves with the number 19 pick. So I had him mocked lower. I did not have him at 19. I think I had him going to. I think it was Minnesota, right? So it was like towards the end of the first round.
I don't
So
like
that's
this
another
pick.
guy. That's another guy that jumped up. I think more than I would have expected. I mean, I guess like he's got. do you want me to take the angle? Do you want me to play devil's advocate?
I mean, you can go ahead.
He's 6'7", 7-foot wingspan, decent rebounder, shot relatively well from three on limited attempts. He's got a decent frame. Um, he's another guy where it's like, okay, since he's 6'8", he's probably like a forward, right? But question is he a 3? Is he a 4? He might be a little bit, I don't want to say unathletic, but I feel like he probably would be better as a 4 than as a 3. He can shoot. He's a good passer. He's a good rebounder. So it's like there are things that he can do well, and like Toronto does need good 3-point shooting, but I just don't feel like he's the best player available that like I would have taken here. I get that Toronto. I mean, like Toronto, I guess at different points has had fascination with like we're putting all these wings together on the squad. So maybe they just like more size since Quickly's small. Maybe they just don't want a lot of smaller players. But if I was gonna take somebody who wasn't a big, I probably just would have taken another guard. But what do you think?
I hate this. I had him mocked to I think like Boston or something at like 27, so I definitely had him later than this. But I don't know. I know people like fell in love with him in the draft because of like numbers and like sneaky analytics and stuff, and I don't know how into analytic. Yeah, I don't know how analytically inclined Toronto is. Like I'm not that far in deep with Toronto and their lore, but regardless, I think you could have done way better than this. But who knows? I could be wrong, but yeah, I'm not a huge fan of this pick. Like I like the player, but I don't like where he's going.
I would not have taken him as high. I would have taken him towards the end of the first round.
Might as well trade it back for that.
Yeah, that was kind of a question that I was asking. Where it's like a player like this, I would have traded back for, just because I feel like if he's taken, I thought he would be closer to the end of the first round, but clearly not. So San Antonio, 20th pick. I had them taking Sinak, right? Chris Sinak Jr., which probably a little bit different than what most people would pick. But I just had them taking another big just to potentially like long term have another guy who can play either with or without Wemby. Maybe he's got some upside offensively, good athlete, decent, rebounder or whatever. But who did you have mocked here?
I had Cameron Carr because I think he's probably the player with the most upside left, and I think this is probably San Antonio's final year being able to get a player of this caliber. Most likely, right? I think they're probably going to be picking a little bit later in the draft, next year. And this is one of the Atlanta picks anyway. So, later on, I feel like we're going to be seeing them, I don't want to say struggle in the draft, but have to work for it a little bit more. So I would take the highest potential player at this point.
Yeah. So in terms of their future draft picks, so they're going to have another one in 2027 that comes from Atlanta. But, since Atlanta is a playoff team now, like like you said, it could be like somewhere in that 20 range or whatever. And then after that, then the rest of their firsts are their own. They do have a swap right with Dallas or Minnesota in 2030. I think that's from the Dillingham trade. So that's not necessarily great for Minnesota. That didn't really work out well. I mean, I guess they got Sunmu, but I don't know, not amazing. So I am curious who the Spurs take, just because obviously they're, of all these teams, right? They're in a different spot because they were in the finals, right? And they lost in 5 to the Knicks. All these other teams were, other than OKC, I guess, like either playoff or non-playoff teams, but Spurs were in the finals. And like you said, you don't usually have a team in the finals pick this early. It's not their own, it is Atlanta's. But like you said, because you have a pick this high, it would be nice to, like you said, take the best player available and have somebody who could potentially be in your rotation next year. Because like if you're the Spurs, you do need to probably add some depth to the roster, because you could kind of see as you got towards the end of the playoffs, there were some guys that just couldn't really help you. Now, can he help you all the way in the Western Conference Finals or NBA Finals? Year one, I don't necessarily know. But the thing with the Spurs is, like you said, where that could be, if you take a guy like that, you do need 3-point shooting, right? Their shooting is kind of up and down. It was mediocre in the regular season. It got better in the playoffs, but I wouldn't necessarily trust all that 3-point, those guys shooting the three long term. I mean, every year in the postseason, right, stuff like that can change because 3-point shooting is so variable. But or there's a lot of variance with 3-point shooting. But that type of player, if you're not taking a big or some type of 4, because that's another type of player I think could make sense for San Antonio. Take a 4 that can play next to Wemby or as a small ball option, just because you didn't really have that. Is kind of like, oh, either Wemby's out there or he's not out there, and we just stink, and we don't really have like a 5-out option to go to at all.
Sure.
So
Yeah, I'm curious.
I think either of those, yeah, so I think either of those directions could be perfectly fine. So, but like I said, now we're in the last the last quote unquote third of the first round of the NBA draft. We got 20 through 30 left. So let's see. So the San Antonio Spurs will select Jaden Quaintance. So they took a big. It's not the big I thought they were going to take, but they did take him.
Small ball. Not a shooter at all. Great defense. Great vertical. Lob threat. Transition finisher. But that's about it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think I already said the defense is great.
Like a Robert Williams type of player, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
The exact comp I would use.
Exactly. So it's
something.
Yeah. Like, I don't think we think he's going to be good. It's just more so like, if you're the Spurs, like, it's kind of a weird pick. But I guess the question is, since you have Wemby, you could do a lot of different things. So, like, it's possible that you could play those guys together, or you could just play Quaintance by himself. And, like, that's something that they could use, just because, like, they don't have a lot of, like, their guards can rebound, but we kind of saw against certain teams where it's like, that doesn't work. You know what I mean? Like against the Knicks, that didn't necessarily work out too well. So it's like, just to have another big body that you could put out there who can defend and can rebound, and can be physical. I like it. It's just, I think also people are concerned about the injury question marks, right?
Yeah, it's a serious injury, bro.
Yeah. So, like, will he even be ready to play, like, when the season starts?
Yeah. But
okay,
what will he look like, though? Will it even look like what we saw the flashes of in college? I don't know.
Right. I think the hope is, because even though it was an ACL tear, I think the hope is just because he's young, and at least we have a track record of some guys coming back from it. You hope he's okay.
So, I agree with you.
Yeah, I think that would be the hope. But like you said, offensively, probably not going to give you a whole lot, but he can defend, he can rebound. He's not tall, but he takes up space, gets you offensive rebounds. So I think he fits in there fine. But there's probably some other teams where it would make a little bit more sense. But I like the idea of, like I said, taking some type of guy who can rebound in there, because I do think they need more of that.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And I guess if you're the Spurs, like, that's a team where you could deal with him rehabbing because you're not going to be reliant or dependent on him because you already have a team that we know is good enough to go deep into the playoffs.
Sure.
Versus like if another team took him where it's like we need him to be good, you might have a little bit more of a problem.
Yeah, you're right. All right.
Yeah. So now
who's next?
Memphis, 21.
Man, pick Phylon.
He's dropping. He is dropping right now in the draft. But are the Grizzlies going to pick him? I guess, like if you're the Grizzlies, you got a lot. You got 5 second-round picks to trade back 5 spots. So that's nice. I guess the question is Phylon the guy that you're doing that for if you're the Grizzlies? Because, like I said, I think they should take a guard. But then, just because you don't know what's going to happen with Ja, that's like a good, like I said, nice completion of a potential young core. But maybe they go in a different direction. Because, like, other than Edie, I mean, they don't really have, like, a lot of other bigs. I mean, I guess Boozer, but it's a question of whether or not this late in the draft are you taking a backup big or a guard.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe they go Cenac. Maybe they go Terrace Reed.
Yeah, I think I had Reed going to Philly.
I wouldn't go Koa. Not go Koa Pete here. I don't know, man. I'd go Phylon or Cenac.
Yeah, I would too, honestly. Like I said, I would say either guard or center.
I think
I would go one of those
weird. I think this is going to be a weird wing guy that jumps up from like projected second round or something like that. Because we're at that point in the draft.
Yeah, like Caravan jumping up, or what is it, like Joshua Jefferson?
Yeah, or like Richie Saunders out of nowhere. Like I'm telling you, it's gonna be the weirdest pick. I think this is the weird one.
Yeah, it's different. What about Vsar?
Let me look where I heard.
Yeah, would you take him if you're like Memphis?
That's a sleeper. I bet that ruins the Lakers' dreams and hopes tonight. But I actually like that idea. I wouldn't be opposed to it.
I'm just thinking about it just because it's like I'm thinking of bigs. Like you said, Cenac is there. Maybe they like that. Or maybe they like Vsar just to give him like a little bit of like, okay, big physical guy in Edie. More skilled offensive big in Vsar, like just to kind of give him a little bit more balance. I don't know.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, because those guys I feel like are probably some of the next players you would think to get picked. But hey, a couple of these guys I didn't have getting picked this high, if I'm going to be honest. So
me too. Wow. That's all I got.
Yeah. So yeah, Memphis is on the clock. It's funny. I hadn't even looked at the ESPN thing, just because I'm mainly looking at like the order of the draft, just so that way I can easily relay, who's next. But they have best available Kareem Lopez, best fit Phylon. So
fair enough.
Yeah, so that's what ESPN thinks.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, so yeah, I didn't even think about Lopez to Memphis. I guess that wouldn't be bad either.
Not at all. Great fit.
Yeah, just to continue to give them like, length 3-point shooting transition play. I wouldn't have a problem with that if they were to do it. They got 40 seconds left, so they better hurry up and do it now. So that way we can see who they take.
I'm sure it'll come up soon.
Oh yeah, for sure. So, and to everybody who's, still here with us, appreciate all of it.
Yeah, we appreciate y'all, man.
Yeah, obviously Untamed keeping everything steady in the chat.
Yes, sir.
Being that, bringing that veteran leadership, so we appreciate that.
Yep, that's team captain right there.
Yeah, so still nothing out yet about who the next pick will be, but the clock is the pick is in, I would think. There's 0 seconds left now. So we're gonna need it soon. We're definitely gonna need it soon. But I think Phylon, Lopez, Vsar, one of those 3. But of course, since I gave those 3, it's probably gonna be none of them. And it was Kareem Lopez. So there we go. Kareem Lopez, ESPN. You did a good job right there.
All
We've
right.
already talked about him a little bit. Not like a crazy athlete. You already mentioned he played for what? The NBL,
Yep.
right? Yeah, exactly. In what, New Zealand Breakers
Mhm.
or whatever. Didn't shoot the three ball all that well. He's 19, so he's still pretty young. 6'11" wingspan. I think the hope is just again another one of these wings where it's like, can he have a fleshed out skill set on both ends of the floor? He's got a good feel for the game. I think that's kind of what you're hoping for. And Memphis, I think in general, like I trust them. They've done a pretty good job in the draft. So like if they're picking somebody, then I would normally feel pretty good about who they're taking.
Yeah, they this would be a good swing, and like I said, I'm just gonna repeat myself from earlier. Big swing, and it's probably gonna be a hit. I don't foresee this as a miss.
Yeah, so Untamed said Shea, Kason, J-Dub, Chet, Mara, defense up the wazoo.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
So
good. It's a good thing.
yeah, and like I said, that is where I'm curious, like just in terms of like, okay, with all these picks, could Hartenstein be gone? Could Dort be gone? They've already moved on from Wiggins, right? Where they just dumped him to Atlanta for 2 seconds, and that helped free up or allowed them to get way on. I think they were like it was like 250 million or whatever, and then they got to way under that, right? In terms of like the aprons and the tax and everything. And it's wild because, like you mentioned, that was a guy where, hey, he was a big part of their finals team. And then guess what? Last year in the playoffs, he didn't play much at all.
At all.
Yeah, exactly. Where it's and like nobody even really asked, like, hey, how come Aaron Wiggins isn't playing? It's just you almost forgot just because they have so many other guys. And it's like, okay, now McCain's in here. Now AJ Mitchell's in here. I guess they just replaced him with those, playmaking guards. Or McCain's more of a shooter. Mitchell's more of a physical guard, I guess.
Yeah. Oh
So
man.
it says, yeah, had heard Kareem Lopez had a potential home with Memphis up at number 16. The Grizzlies are not moving down again, sources say. They're keeping Lopez at number 21. So that was a guy where they traded down,
Yep.
take him
And
because
that's
they
how you
felt
do
like
it.
they could get. Yeah, exactly. So that's an example of a good job by Memphis, which, like I said, they've done a pretty good job in the draft. So when they talk, I listen.
Yeah.
So next up is Philly. So I had them taking I had them taking Taurus Reed Jr. Just to kind of continue to give them a little bit more front court depth with Embiid. Good passer, good rebounder, good guy on the interior. Of course, I could see them also not taking a big, maybe taking one of these other guys that are on the table. But who did you have going to Philly?
I'd go with Pete. I think this is
Okay.
where you pick that guy because, like, he's a pretty much certified four. If he could be a versatile defender, great. I don't believe in the jumper whatsoever, but that's fine. Because they don't really have a power forward, a true power forward on this team, and
No.
it'd be nice for them to actually get that, and pair with Maxey, Edgecombe, and Embiid. Right? I'm not even going to factor in Paul George, but it's a nice slot in, I think.
Right, yeah, because they're power forwards. Paul George basically started at power forward, I guess.
Yeah.
Not really a power forward, but I mean, like that's just because of who they had. Watford, right, was on the team. Didn't play much. Janai Broom, so like not a lot of crazy options at power forward,
Yeah.
right? So, like you said, a player like that makes sense.
Yes.
It's just a matter of where do they lean. So, and I think this Philly pick, I think, came from OKC. I think this was in the Harden trade, right? Like when Philly traded Harden to the Clippers. So I think this came from the Clippers.
Yep.
So not that necessarily matters, but it's always kind of nice sometimes to like look at where these picks came from, just because sometimes it'll be from stuff that happened years ago, and it's like, oh, remember when this happened? Like I don't remember that, and now you do. So yeah, exactly.
God.
Right? Yeah, because like the Washington one, right? It was like protected, and that came from one of the Knicks deals, right?
Yeah. Yes, it did.
Yeah, exactly. So,
My goodness.
yeah, the second half of the first round has been very different than I would say the first half of the first round. And this was expected, but also not expected, right? Just because we knew that the top guys most people really liked. And so we kind of had an idea of who would go where. And then after that, it's just been complete chaos, complete utter chaos. Because, like I said, Morris Johnson, I had him mocked at 10, but I'm going to be honest, like, I thought he was probably somebody who could go lower. Lindeborg, I had at 11 for Golden State, but I thought that there was a chance that he could drop just because of the age. And then after that, didn't expect Swain to go to Chicago, although I guess I had him earlier, so I can't say much about that. Starts I had way at the end of the first round. That's the thing, is like these last 5-6 picks have been the biggest surprises because several of these guys I had towards the end of the first round. So that makes it even more different. Like Sturts and Akori and Graves, like most of those guys I had like in the late 20s.
Me too, man. Like those guys
Yeah.
jumped, and my guy keeps freaking falling. I don't know why all the players that I like in these drafts always fall, bro.
But I guess there's a chance for him to maybe end up, I guess, on like one of these playoff teams. But I guess the question is, if you're him, would you have rather gone to like one of these other teams that's more like lottery or rebuilding teams, you know, knowing that like if you look at these next teams, it's like Philly, Atlanta. Atlanta could be good for him, I guess, just as another backup guard. But like, you know, a lot of these teams, like they already have guards in place. So it's like he would be playing like either backup minutes or like third string minutes, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, like if he's on the Knicks, I mean, I guess if they wanted to get out of the second apron, they could trade some of those other guys and be like, yeah, he'll just be our backup point guard. But like, are they going to do that? Like LA, like, are they going to take another guard, you know, to play behind like Luca and Reeves? You know, Denver, I had them taking Sturts. He's off the board. I think they need another ball handler.
That'll
So
be good. Just don't treat
yeah,
him
could
like
he go?
Bones.
Yeah, and then like even like a like I said, even a Philly or Atlanta, like could he play behind Maxey and Edgecombe, or could he play behind, you know, the guards in Atlanta? Like he could.
Yeah.
So like this is where like this could be good for him, but I'm sure if you're him, you would have preferred to go higher, just because
Absolutely.
like you're more likely to get more minutes on a team where it's like you get to just play more.
Yeah, you're right.
But there is a potential to be in a decent situation depending on where he goes. But yeah, like both you and I had him mocked above 20. So the fact that we're getting close to the end of the first round and he's still here, he's clearly the guy that everybody dropped. But I don't know what the reason is. It's not like anybody said it. Like I know with Whitmore, right? Everybody was kind of explaining when it happened, why he dropped, right? Because people weren't quite sold on like his physicals, right? They thought that there was like something not quite there physically. And but nobody said anything about Phylon. Like so I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah,
And it looks like
I'm
he's going to
confused.
Philly. So there you go. It's going to Philly.
That's great. Oh yeah, I like
So
this.
yeah, and that's kind of what I'm thinking. Where it's like, okay, if you're him, now you can go to one of these teams where it's like, yeah, they have guards, but like you know they already traded McCain, so like they can just have Phylon come in and replace those minutes.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I actually really like this a lot.
Yeah,
That's a great pick.
exactly. Yeah, and it's not Maury anymore. It's it's not Jameer Nelson. I think he's like the position underneath. I can't remember the guy's name, but there's a new person in charge for Philly now.
I like this.
Let me Mike Gansey.
Okay.
Okay. And then executive vice president of basketball operations is Jameer Nelson. So he's the number 2 guy.
Okay, so they have him listed at 6'2.5". I knew he wasn't 6'3" or
Yeah,
6'4".
okay. Yeah.
But yeah, this guy can freaking hoop, man.
Yeah, I mean, again, a lot of people had him mocked higher than the 20s. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, like I think some people had him like late teens, right? So it's like, and he's expected to be a guy who should be ready right out of the gate. Like you said, he's not that big, he's not like crazy athletic or explosive, but he's very skilled, very good on the offensive end. He averaged 22 and 5, 50 from the field, 40 from 3, on 6 3-point attempts a game. So like he can shoot, he can score. He can do a little bit of playmaking. So it's like, so I guess the question is, if you're Philly, everybody kind of complained about, well, I don't want to say complain, but like everybody thought that it was a bad idea for Philly to trade him to OKC. Does this make up for it? I guess we haven't seen Phylon play at all. So that's kind of the question here.
Yeah.
But if he's good, does that make up for it?
Yeah, it pays off for sure.
Oh,
I don't think you'd
he's
be
not a
too mad
first
about
from
it.
OKC.
Yeah, and
And I
like
think
there was legit injury concern with McCain. Obviously, we know that was, neither here nor there at this point. But I think Fallon will be good, and he's going to be a spark plug, and that's what they're kind of missing.
Yeah, I like this pick for Philly a lot. So next up is Atlanta. They have the 23rd pick. This comes from Cleveland. You already took a guard. So I guess the question is this where you take another big to help out Okongwu so he's not your only center? Right? So, or I guess you also have Jock Landale that they may re-sign. But I guess the question is here, if you're Atlanta, do you take another guard? Do you take a wing, or do you take a big?
I don't even know. Let me see who I had mocked here. This is pick 23. I had Cenac. That was my logic behind it. I thought pairing him and getting another front court guy, that would help.
Yeah, and he's still on the board.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think I had Carr going here. So
Okay, that's not a bad pick either.
yeah, so I am curious as to who they take. Obviously we're gonna have to wait a little bit for this pick to come in. Got a little over a minute. Yeah, ESPN, it's funny, they have best available Chris Cenac Jr., best fit Cameron Carr. So the two guys that we suggested, that's who ESPN thinks that they should probably take. So ESPN knows, so ESPN or somebody should hire us as some draft people.
Please.
Yeah,
We know what we're talking about.
Yep. Yeah, we definitely would have taken, had this exact order for all these picks in the draft. So
for sure.
yeah, so it looks like the Hawks will select Zuby Ejiofor, which I didn't expect. I don't think I had him in the first round.
No, I didn't either. I had him in the second.
Yeah, I didn't have him in the first round. I had him in the second round. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I guess he could be your small ball big option, I guess. He's 6'7", he's 245. I guess, assuming that they bring back Landale, you have Okongwu. That gives you kind of a small ball big. But, Okongwu's not that big. I mean, I guess he's taller than he was when he was drafted, but it would be nice to have, somebody I think that's, a taller option. But, I mean, I do like his game. He's a good rebounder. He's a versatile defender. He took more threes his last year in college. Not a lot of attempts, though, but he didn't really take any at all when he first got in. He's 22, so he's a little bit older. 7'2" wingspan to make up for him being 6'7". And he's a defensive guy. He's defense first player. So, if you're Atlanta, that's fine. I just offensively, I would be kind of curious as to where the fit would be, because then it's like, okay, I don't know if I would play him and Dyson Daniels together, just because then it's like you're kind of starting to run out of offense that you can have there. But not that and that does matter. But I guess the question is he like the third string big?
It's weird.
Right.
I don't know. I don't really
You like the pick?
It's okay. I mean, let me see. Did they have any other picks in the second round? No, they don't. Oh, they do,
Yeah, so
but it's so far.
Yeah,
I feel like you could have traded back, maybe, but I don't know. I just don't like picking him this high. And there were other centers that I would have preferred, like Cenac or Taurus Reed, Visar, even like any of those guys.
Yeah,
even the Luigi guy, bro.
Yeah, I think I had him at the end of the first. No, that was you. That was you.
Yeah, that was the last pick of the draft.
Yeah, that was you. So yeah, I don't know about that one. I mean, I'm not saying I don't like it, but he wouldn't have been the first big that I would have taken if I was Atlanta. But that might just be me. So next up, I guess, is the Knicks. They're the defending NBA champions. Should they take a big here? Because there's the potential for, because James Dolan already said we're not going into the second apron. So there's a chance that Mitchell Robinson may just enter free agency and get signed elsewhere if a team offers him more money than the Knicks are willing to pay. Whatever that amount is, I don't know. Like, could the cutoff be like 15 million? I don't know. I'm just kind of throwing out a number here. So would a big make sense for them? I had them taking, I think it was Joshua Jefferson.
And this is the Knicks,
who
right?
Yeah, that was who I had.
Yeah, I had them taking a big too. I had them taking Taurus Reed.
Okay.
Just on the off chance that Mitchell Robinson is gone or something like that. You know,
Yeah,
I think
so
he
we
would be
were
a solid replacement. You know, kind
Yeah.
of like a non-stretch but a very good rebounder, inside finishing guy.
Yeah, I had Joshua Jefferson, I guess, kind of like as a 4 to replace, well, not replace, but like, they didn't really have like a lot of guys on the roster who are like natural 4s.
Sure.
So I was like, okay, maybe you could bring him in. But like, I think we're thinking like, yeah, somebody in the front court, just in case you lose out on Mitchell Robinson because of the fact that, clearly, like I said, if Dolan's not going to want to go into the second apron, you could lose him.
Yes.
Because everybody else, they may just be able to get for cheap. I think they pushed back Alvarado's guarantee date. Some of those other guys probably won't get but so much money. Maybe they will, but like, I don't know if a team's giving Landry Shamet like $15 million a year, so he could just go back to New York. I don't know.
Yeah, you're right.
So,
jeez.
All right. So Untamed said, I think Mitch is gone. It just comes down to like, how much is a team willing to give him, and honestly, how much should you give him? Like, if you're another team, like, do you feel great about giving Mitchell Robinson like 20+ million a year?
No.
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
New York traded. Oh, so he said New York traded with LA. Okay. So they swapped spots. Okay. So what's going on here? Is the prophecy coming true? It's the prophecy. So they're one spot apart because the Lakers are at 25, the Knicks are at 24. Okay, so I'm curious to see what the swap would be. Yeah, like I said, thanks for the update, Untamed. Because like I said, I'm refreshing it right here, and I haven't seen it yet. Yeah, Shams just said it. New York is trading number 24 to the Lakers for 25, but nobody has like who they're taking. And then Jake Fisher said the Hawks told rival teams they were going to listen to trade offers when they were on the clock at number 23, but I'm told Atlanta is going to keep Zuby Edgio 4. So,
all right.
Will the prophecy come true? Oh my God. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Yeah, you do.
Yes.
Yep.
I hope it does. I hope it does.
Yeah, I don't hope it does though. I like, honestly, like, with the bigs that are still there. Like, if I'm LA, I would probably, I don't know, I would almost kind of consider maybe taking like Cenac or a Reed, just I
wouldn't be mad at it.
Yeah, like, that's like it, since they're still here, because I was picking all these guys based off of like, who are they taking, who's left. Like, I would probably take those guys just to get a little bit more athleticism.
Yeah. Better paired with Luka.
Yeah, exactly. I think that makes more sense.
Yeah, I agree with you.
In my opinion.
I agree.
Right, but yeah.
Like, I had the Lakers picking Vsar because the other guys would have been gone by now, but they're
exactly.
not.
Yeah, exactly. So if they're still here, I would take those guys. I don't know why you're laughing, but
snow time.
Yeah, snow time. Yep. Yeah, snow time. Yeah, it's a thing.
Snow down.
Yeah, it is. It really is. Lucas said he wants an A-list center. Well, you're not getting that in this draft.
Yeah, I saw something on Twitter. It was like, yeah, Lucas said he wants an A-list center, and then the interest level was like really freaking bad, like Zeke Naji levels bad.
Yeah, it's like, I was like, well, you're not getting that in this draft. I mean, like, I'm not saying that these guys aren't going to be good, but like, they're rookies, so the expectation that those guys are going to be great day one, I don't know about that. But I am curious who they take, because like there's a lot, there's still some players here that I think would be good picks. Like I said, I would take a big, but I can understand if they're like, maybe we don't want a big, maybe we want to take a wing, that's in the draft. But like in terms of wings, like which wings are left that you're comfortable with, right? Or like,
I don't
see what?
know.
Yeah, like,
I don't know,
yeah,
man.
exactly, right, yeah, because like if you're trying to raise your athletic floor, right, then I would take one of those bigs. But you could, like I said, take one of these wings or like get somebody that can shoot just to continue to have more spacing. But there's a lot of options out here. So let's see. We're at that part of the yeah, I know. We're at that part of the draft. Like
No, I just saw. I was on Twitter, like refreshing the feed or whatever, and then I saw breaking: Darius Acuff has requested a trade from the Kings.
that's funny. Yeah, and Untamed said we're at that part of the draft. Yeah, we're at that part of the draft. We are. We are at that part of the draft. And I'm not saying that like these guys aren't good. I'm just saying like you're at the point now where I mean I don't want to say it's slim pickings, but let's see. So Dave McMenamin says that he's hearing that Cameron Carr is the potential pick. But we need to wait and see just to make sure that everybody else
For the Lakers?
yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't see what else he'd be talking. Yeah, I think that's Cameron Carr. So yeah, so he said the New York Knicks will select Cameron Carr, and Carr is going to LA. So that's kind of one of those guys that we were talking about where it's like that's a shooter. I think you like him as a player, but you don't like him on this team, correct?
No, you need a big.
Okay. Yeah, like he's a good 3-point shooter, but it's like he's a wing, but he's like 6'4".
He's
So
a
he's a
two
little
guard.
yeah, exactly. He's a little small for he's like yeah, like you said, more like a 2. He had a really good year at Baylor his year there, right? He had averaged 19 points. He averaged 6 rebounds.
It was a
So
breakout.
exactly, 49 from the field, 37 from 3. He's a good athlete. So that's nice. But like you said, I would have probably preferred a big man. But I mean, I guess if you're not taking a big, who would you have taken then?
I don't even know. Like,
Right, like that's the question, like and that's what I was kind of posing the question of, where I'm like, I could see them not taking a big and taking one of these other 3-point shooters or wings. It's just who would you have taken? That's the question.
This is a terrible pick. I'm not gonna lie.
So you don't like it?
Yeah, and I love Cameron Carr, but I don't like the fit. That's what it comes down to. They should have taken a big and addressed their need. How are they going to address their need now? I don't understand this.
Maybe through free agency.
Yeah, right. Who are they going to get?
trade.
Jalen Duren?
No,
Exactly.
I don't have. Yeah,
They're not getting anybody in free agency. What big man is going to be available that's actually going to make a difference on that team?
Me.
Yeah, right. Nice. Under 6 foot big. Nice.
Hey, Chuck Hayes.
Right.
Yeah, this is a throwback.
Guy was like 6'5". Can't make this shit up. Jeez. Wow. Cameron Carr. Got it. Nice job, LA. As a Laker fan, how do you feel?
Well, I guess my thought process was like I would have liked to have them take a big. If you're not going to take a big, then take somebody who can knock down a shot, please. That's better than like a Dalton Connect or somebody. So I don't have as much. So like I don't really have a problem with it. I would have preferred them take one of these bigs, but yeah, it's pretty. It's on Nerlens Noel. Oh my god.
You said you just saw Nerlens Noel?
No. Untamed said free agency so they can sign Nerlens Noel to a come out of retirement tier mid-level. I don't think he's coming back to the NBA. So
yeah, I don't think that's happening.
No. Yeah, they're in a weird spot because they have cap space, but if they run it back, then they don't have cap space. So how many of these guys are you willing to bring back? And if you don't bring everybody back, then you're going to have to bring in somebody through trade, because I just don't think there's that many guys in free agency that are going to be available that you're going to pay. Like, what are you going to pay? Like, I mean, I guess you could, but like, what are you going to pay? Like Tari Eason or Peyton Watson if, like LeBron or Rui walks. Like, that's just kind of weird. I'm not saying that, like, but you know what I mean? Like, that's just kind of weird. So, like, they have options, but, like, I think it would have to be through trades. But I think that's the question is like, okay, people like the player. Will he work there? That's the question. He can shoot, he can rebound. So he was mocked to go earlier.
Jeez.
I just wish he was a little bit taller. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, if he was like 6'7", this would be like perfect. Because I don't really dislike it. I just wish he was taller. But then if he was taller, he wouldn't be at 25. He would have been like in the teens.
Yeah,
So
true that.
yeah, so it's like of the non-bigs left, that's probably one of the best players you're gonna get, right? So it's almost kind of like BPA. It's just the question is like, is this still BPA or is this need? So I don't hate it. I don't really hate it. I'm fine with it, but I would have preferred a big. But then I guess the question is like, is that big going to even play, like starting next year? Like if you go out and get some big in trades or whatever, like is that guy actually going to play? I don't know. So
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm just kind of surprised that like moving up one pick. That's the part that also kind of surprised me. But I guess they didn't give up anything.
No.
So I guess like yeah, so it's like if you're not gonna give up anything, I guess that's fine. But the question is so the Knicks, now they're the next pick, their needs don't really change based off this pick. So I think the same players that we had them taking would be the guys that they should probably pick.
Yeah, I think you gotta go with I think you gotta go with Taurus Reed Jr. And who did you have them picking?
I had Josh Jefferson or Joshua Jefferson.
Jeez, okay, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
same
But
same
again,
line of thinking though.
yeah, because I was thinking more so like along the lines of a 4.
Sure.
But a 5 makes sense too in case Mitchell Robinson leaves. Because I don't know necessarily if you're going to be like, all right, well, Ariel Huckporty, you're our backup center. But then I guess entrusting the backup center spot to a rookie would also not be great either. So that's why I was kind of thinking 4.
Yeah, that makes sense. A
Yeah,
guy who can
cash
play
in.
small ball.
Yeah.
Consideration.
Yeah, no, he's serious. He's serious.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so in other words, they didn't give up anything to move up a spot. So it's
Yeah.
like it's fine.
No, I know. It's just funny. Whenever I hear cash considerations, I'm just like, all right, bro.
I know. Because
So
wasn't
nothing.
that like TJ Warren? Yeah, like isn't that kind of like where that meme came from?
Mhm.
Yeah, it was like TJ Warren just like got dumped to Phoenix or whatever team it was for cash consideration.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what that was.
Wow.
That's funny. Yeah, so yeah, I don't know. I don't like I said, I don't have a problem with the pick. I would have preferred a big, but like if it wasn't a big, like where I would have been mad is if they didn't take a big, but then they took some of those other guys, or like Richie Saunders, or like I don't know. Yeah, like Richie Saunders or like Caravan or like De La Rhea. Like I just like that would have been like, okay, we like something's wrong here. Bubble Warren is better than MJ, LOL. Yeah, I remember that. Those were fun times.
Sergio De La Rhea
Yeah, Luigi.
or Braden Smith.
Okay, so New York, you are on the clock at pick number 25. Who are you taking? We already kind of laid out the players they should take. But if you hadn't noticed, several of the last few picks, they have not really listened to us, which is fine.
They could go Vsar here. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about an offensive skilled big,
Yeah, why
you
not?
can really think about that. But yeah, so that wouldn't be bad. To have another stretch. I guess if Robinson's gone, you have Huck Porty. So okay, then get a stretch big, stretch 5. Cheap who's on a cheap cost controlled contract. So I wouldn't have an issue with that. So let's see. Is the pick in? Yes, I think. Wait. Yeah, wait. No. Wait, hold on. Yeah, it's Sergio De La Rea.
Are
It's
you
the name I just
serious?
I'm dead serious. That's the name I just mentioned.
Bro, I had him mocked in like the second.
That's what I'm talking about. See,
I
and that's
can't
like I said,
stand this
that's
part
why
of the
I'm not as
draft,
mad. That's
bro.
why I have no problems with the car pick because it's like, okay, clearly the guys that are being drafted here are like, I don't know. This is I didn't expect that. So that's he's I think I had him going to Dallas. He was at the end of the first round for me,
Okay.
where he's kind of like, he's like a secondary ball handler, can score and shoot it a little bit. So I don't have a problem with him, but he shot 41% from three. So it's like a nice pass dribble shoot, bigger combo guy.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, like, do I expect him to play as much for New York as I would have if he went to like Dallas? No.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. This is weird. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Would you have liked it if it was like Denver
Yeah.
or okay, like Denver? What about Boston? I guess not because they have other guards.
Yeah. I mean, Minnesota would have been
Minnesota,
cool too.
yeah,
Minnesota,
Denver,
Cleveland.
yeah, Dallas. I had him going to Dallas, but like, yeah, Denver, yeah, like I don't know, fine player. I don't know if this is the right team.
Yeah, I agree
So
with you.
yeah, and like I said, that's why like if this is how the rest of the first round is going to go, then I have no problems with the pick. But it is kind of funny because there are guys because like Phylon dropped and a bunch of the bigs that we had mocked high dropped. Maybe those guys will be second round picks. And if
True.
that's the case, that could be, you know, okay, because then they're even more cost controlled in the second round, depending on.
Absolutely.
So I don't, so I for some of those players, if you can get them in the second round, all right. But I don't think, yeah, but like the second round order is weird. Like it's like the Knicks have the first pick in the second round. So it's like it's completely different than what it is in the first round. Like the Wizards have the last pick of the second round. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, yeah, it's weird. It's weird. So the next pick is Denver. I had them taking Sturts, but Sturts went a long time ago. He went 10 picks ago to Oklahoma City. So that messed up my mock draft, which is fine. Not bitter about it at all. So who should Denver take here? Should they go for one of these backup centers? Or do they go for a backup ball handler or a wing?
I thought they should go guard. I had them picking Ibuka Okorie. So
Okay, yeah. So we both felt like they should take guards, like,
yes.
additional ball handlers. I just wonder, like, with the draft changing the way that it has, is it possible that they may pick a center? Because it's like I do feel like you would like to have some big man depth behind Jokic. There's some rumors that Valanciunas may once again try to leave and go overseas. So, if that's the case, you may want to have a little bit more center depth.
Bro,
So,
they're holding that man hostage, bro.
so yeah, so I don't know. If he's gone, I think yeah, it would be nice to have another big man. But I do think they need some additional ball handling because it just feels like if you take out Jamal Murray or like limit him, they just don't have anyone else where it's like, oh yeah, give them the ball and it's cool, right? Like it was like Tyus Jones where they were like, save us, Tyus Jones,
Pretty much.
in an elimination game with no Anthony Edwards or Io DeSumo. It's just like it is not a good feeling to be in. So I could see them taking. That's why I had them taking a guard, but big man I could see as well, just for Jokic insurance, because like I don't think Valanciunas will probably work against a lot of teams in the postseason. I don't know. It was just weird. Yeah, it was just weird because like he was not very good against Minnesota, which you would think would be a team that maybe he could work against just because they have other bigs, but it didn't work.
Not at all. Pathetic.
So yeah, so that's why I'm kind of trying to decide like whether or not do you lean guard or do you lean big, but it really is based off of whether or not you think that there's more value in drafting a center and then maybe just getting a backup ball handler through free agency.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
versus vice versa. So Jake Fisher says, had heard De La Rey for both New York and Minnesota before the Timberwolves traded number 28, had appealed because of his draft and stash opportunity. Wolves obviously used that pick to get off Julius Randle's money. Knicks don't expect De La Rey to come to the NBA this season. So
Well
so
then.
he's not going to play.
Well then.
Yeah, exactly. So
Makes
that's why I'm
sense.
surprised he win the first round if that's the case.
Yeah, what was the point of that?
Cash.
I guess you're right.
Yeah, exactly. Cash considerations.
Cash consideration never fails.
Yeah.
You can't make it up.
Yeah, like our team had it first. He's the first one that said it. It was cash considerations. So
Cash freaking considerations. Wow.
yeah, cash considerations.
We're
So,
going back to that, huh?
hey, I'm cool with it. You know, like I'd probably rather have Kevin Carr over Sergio De La Rey. So if that's what it takes, hey, I'm good with it.
Yeah, Denver could take Isaiah Evans. That would be interesting too.
Yeah, like because just to get some more 3-point shooting out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it's like they shot the 3 ball pretty well last year. You know, does Hardaway come back? If he doesn't come back, then you need another 3-point shooter because then it's like, all right, now Christian Brown, you need to be a better 3-point shooter for us. So let's see. So Denver is trading the number 26 pick to San Antonio, according to Jake Fisher. So San Antonio will have this pick.
Is this
which is
CNAC?
nice. Is this the center? Is this the backup big man potentially for San Antonio? If it is, good job, San Antonio, if it is. If not, still good job, San Antonio, honestly, I guess.
True. Oh, man. I'm curious, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I have no clue what they're going to do here, but at least they're still in the mix, right? That's kind of what you have to do at the end of the draft, especially if you're a contender.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to make moves like this.
Mm-hmm. So we'll see. So that came from Jake Fisher. So we'll probably get an update relatively soon about who the Spurs are probably going to take. It looks like it is Taurus Reed Jr.
Good pick.
There's
Great
the
pick.
big.
Great pick.
Good, yeah. Yes.
Young double
So
big.
perfect.
Good.
So in other words, good job, San Antonio. Yep. So good job, San Antonio. You got another backup big, so you can play with more size. And then they also took Quaintance, right?
Yep.
So they loaded up on the front court. So more rebounding, more size, more versatility on that end. I am good with it.
Yep.
So next up after that is Boston, right? So obviously they are, they had to, I guess, rebound from the Giannis sweepstakes thing. So they have this pick. Now, of course, they could trade it. But I think I had them taking Graves, I think was who I had. So, and like he's well off the board. So at this point, so in terms of players left, could this be like a Richie Saunders? Could this be like a Henry Visar pick? Maybe, just because it's like, okay, like Vucevic might be gone. So maybe you just get another big in the draft. But it's kind of interesting because like a lot of these bigs, like, look, if they're not picked in the next couple of picks, they're going in the second round. And these were like guys that were all expected to be like first round picks. So I'm kind of curious, like, what's up with that? Like, in terms of like, what's the reasoning behind what's going on here? Like I said, maybe these teams are like, we'd rather take these guys in the second round, but it does surprise me because I feel like these guys are first round talents, and I don't feel like some of the players that are being drafted ahead of them are significantly better.
Yeah, I agree with you, but
I just don't think Sergio De La Rey is better than like some of the bigs that are left on the board.
And he's getting
but
stashed anyway.
Yeah, but maybe it's me.
I agree with you, but I don't know who Boston's going to take here. I had them taking Alan Graves, which is long gone by now, but I could see them taking Caravan or like,
Yeah.
I don't know, something like that.
And Jake Fisher said, so Denver traded the number 26 pick to San Antonio for the 35th pick in tomorrow's second round, a 2031 Sacramento second round pick, and a 2028 Minnesota second round pick. So Denver got 3 seconds in trading for the 26th pick.
Okay. Should be interesting.
Let's see what's up next. So let's see. Boston still hasn't made the pick yet, so they have a minute and a half left. So best available according to ESPN, Chris Sinak Jr. Best fit, Isaiah Evans.
I wouldn't be mad at either of those. Probably go
Yeah, no,
CNAC though.
yeah, just for an athletic big.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I guess if they like the 3-point game, they could take Isaiah Evans. But it sounded like Brad Stevens was like, "Yeah, we need to shift our offensive identity a little bit," which I actually do agree with.
Yeah, especially with the whole Jaylen Brown thing up in the air too.
Yeah. So, do you think? I guess since we're talking about Boston right now, do you think that Jaylen Brown will be on the team by the time next season starts?
No, that bridge has been burned by
So
both parties.
where do you think he goes?
Could go to like.
I think I said Houston.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Maybe Houston, maybe the Clippers. I don't know, but he's out of Boston. There's no way they can actually have a serious team with all the things that have transpired pretty much since they got eliminated. Like I've never seen a crash out and like a rift between a player and org like that in a while. So I don't know. Maybe Houston.
Would you like it if he's in Houston?
For what though?
I don't know. I mean, I guess if you're Boston, if you're going to trade Jaylen Brown, you probably want back either like a wing or a big, right? I mean, are they swapping Jaylen Brown for like Şengün? But then like Houston doesn't have. Yeah, but then like Houston doesn't have a center.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that if I was either team. I'm not gonna lie. Like I
Yeah.
said, Şengün is garbage to me right now. So
So would you do like Jaylen Brown for like Jabari Smith Jr. Şengün or like Jabari Smith Jr. Thompson or Jabari Smith Jr. something else? It's Chris Sinak.
good. It's a great pick.
Yeah, so there's another big.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd probably Şengün is not going to be in that deal. Just saying. Maybe you go. Yeah, probably Jabari Smith Jr. and Thompson, bro. Like that's the only thing I could think of. But if I'm Houston, I'm probably not pulling the trigger on that either.
Yeah, Untamed says needed that, so I think he is pretty satisfied with the Celtics taking him. I think that makes sense because, like I said, you needed a big, because it's really what Keita, Garza, what was it like Amari Williams? I think was his name, right? Who didn't even really play.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah,
think
like
he even played.
yeah, like their center rotation is kind of not that great. So just to get another cheap, cost controlled big could potentially help you. I mean, again, Amari is bad. Yeah, I was like, I don't even think he played. Like the fact that like say like a Garza was, I mean, like I guess Garza had already been in the league, but like just like a new guy that came on your team that's playing ahead of a guy who's drafted, like I don't know, like that would, yeah, you're probably right where it's like, yeah, he just may not be that great. I remember kind of liking the pick when it happened, but he just hasn't really played, so it's like if he's not playing, then clearly Boston must not be all that enthralled with him because it's not like they couldn't play him during the regular season.
Exactly. So, like, what exactly are we talking about here?
So, yeah. So, next up is Minnesota, who moved down to 28, right? This was from the 20 Julius Randle trade that sends him back to New York, but not to the Knicks, to the Brooklyn Nets. If you're Minnesota, you traded Randall. Does this mean that you draft a 4 here? Do you draft a guard? I mean, because he already drafted a couple bigs in the last year's draft, right? It was Zakarsky and Berenjay. They took Dillingham and that didn't work out. So in terms of who you have left to take, I mean, like I said, I feel like it's probably either guard or forward.
Yeah. Maybe Malik Thomas, Isaiah Evans. I think those would probably be the two best because Cameron Carr is not available. So probably Isaiah Evans.
Yeah, he's like Amari is bad. The Boston, yeah. So Skoda already said Boston Celtics will select Chris Sinak, so we already knew that. Yeah, it's that's funny. I hadn't really seen him play much because, but it's just I remember I think kind of liking the pick, but that's the thing. Like you said, with the end of the first round is like you're not always gonna get guys that are gonna actually be good, especially once you get there or the second round.
Yes.
Yeah, so there's only so the last 3 picks of the first round. It's Minnesota, it's Cleveland, and then it's Dallas. No major trades, it looks like. Yeah, so what did you think in terms of like the reporting and the talks about? Because like it seemed like most of the trades were you had a couple teams move down, not like a ton, but I felt like it was to take guys where I'm like, okay, cool. Like I like the Spurs doing that. And then I liked the Grizzlies doing that. OKC was fine. But other than that, what do you think?
Nothing wowed me. I'll say that. It's like you said, it's like you make the deal, whoop-de-doo. You could have got that guy where you were at anyway, like honestly. But I did like the Spurs moves, to go up. I did like that.
Yeah.
But that's
I don't
probably
really
about it, honestly.
Yeah. Like I don't want to do like winners, losers, like already.
No.
But I do like what the Spurs did.
Oh, yeah,
like that's
that
a team
was
where it's like I like what they did.
Yeah, that was smooth. I like that.
Yeah. Now I'm just kind of curious who Minnesota's taking. And again, if you're still with us, appreciate it, right? We're going, it's been it's been 3 hours now. But we are getting towards the end of the first round. And that's, so it's been fun.
Yeah,
I would say.
it's been active, bro. I love it. Shout
Yeah.
out to Untamed, man.
Yeah, exactly.
As usual.
So it's funny. So ESPN has best available, Isaiah Evans, best fit, Koa Pete.
What?
Would you do it?
No.
That's the power forward.
No. You can't. You
Power
can't.
forward.
You can't.
The pick is in. The pick is in.
No.
The
This
pick
can't
is
be.
in. Who's it gonna be?
This can't be.
The pick is in.
No.
The pick is in.
This
Who is
can't
it?
be.
Oh my gosh. The pick is in. Come on. Let us know. Tell us who it is.
This can't be.
Yeah. The pick is in.
No. This can't be.
The pick is in. Come on.
No.
Let us know who the pick is. That's funny. Let's see. Jake Fisher said Boston was another trade team we were monitoring. Had heard Chris Sinak Jr. in addition to Nate Ament was a target for New Orleans to trade into the first round and select. But I'm hearing the big man is so no Trey Murphy deal, I guess.
No.
They traded Ant.
Yeah, right.
That would be pretty funny.
Like, yeah,
That would actually be really funny if that happened.
The pick is in.
Yeah, that would be like the people who were like doing Lakers LMAO, JK, yeah, like that would have been funny. That was kind of like when I went back and watched like some of the Lakers streams like after the Knicks game, and then Luka gets traded, and then like they're reacting in real time because like we reacted to it like in real time, right? We were like in chat or whatever, right? I think it was like PlayStation or whatever, and then I was like, oh, that's funny what Sham said. I was like, and then I was like, wait a second, what? And then it just got funnier and funnier.
Yeah, because I think I saw the noti first, and then I was like, Luka just got traded to LA. You're like, what?
I was like, what? You just said it casually, and then I was like, there's no way that's real. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny. Then we did a live stream pretty much like right afterwards. So you had it. Yeah, so the pick is in, but where's the pick?
Yeah. Who's the pick? Oh wait, they're about to announce it.
Yep. So I guess you'll get it first then. They're like nobody's. Oh, Joshua Jefferson.
Jefferson?
Joshua
Ew.
Jefferson. All right.
I don't like
There's
this.
your power forward.
Eh,
Would you have taken Coapete instead?
Yeah, I would have taken either Coapete or Isaiah Evans. Straight up.
Okay. Is this enough to convince Anthony Edwards to stay in Minnesota?
No. Now we're going to have to hear Anthony Edwards' name for the next 5 years about him leaving Minnesota because all he could do is get to the conference finals.
Yep. You're welcome. Congratulations. Yeah. So, as you already know, I had him mocked earlier. He fell a little bit. Pretty versatile forward. Yeah, because I think I had him going to the Knicks, right? And I like his passing, I like his defense, I like his versatility, I like his IQ. He's just not that athletic, and so can those type of players work at that position? I think you would hope if you're Minnesota, you have the length and versatility defensively, and you have athleticism, where it's like, okay, we can afford like a guy in the front court who's smart but not that quick. I think that's what you're hoping for. And he's got a strong frame. So it's like, I think it's nice to have players with high IQ. I think, it's not like a knock on Minnesota, but like sometimes for the Wolves, like the decision making sometimes can get kind of funky from time to time. So I think it's nice to have a player that can like kind of raise the collective basketball IQ and decision making up there. But like you said, I can understand why you might like the other players more. Like if you like the athleticism or just the talent level, or in the case of Evans, the shooting, right? Because that's kind of the question mark with Jefferson is, okay, can he do that? Because he can do a lot of other stuff, but is that going to work? Because at the 4, especially if you got Gobert, you might want a little bit more shooting on there.
Yeah, for sure. That's why.
But they'd have some.
Yeah, but they had double big, bro. Like Coapete.
Yeah, but they did have experience with. Yeah, but they did have experience with Kyle Anderson, and that could be like a similar type of player. And like technically, yeah, this is the Nets pick, and then it'll go to Minnesota. So I'm not watching the broadcast, but I'm sure he's putting on the Brooklyn hat, knowing that he's not going to Brooklyn. I don't know why they do that. It's kind of weird. But it's kind of funny, but okay. But yeah, it's funny though. Kyle Anderson. Yep.
Wow,
so
Kyle Anderson's so scary.
Yeah. Hey, he was on a conference finals team.
And didn't do anything.
Sure he did. He played well against Dallas. Even though he didn't play well against Denver, which was kind of funny.
And they still lost. Great.
Analytically.
Oh my God, don't start this. Speaking of analytically, Cleveland.
Yeah, that's my point. That was a good segue. So analytically speaking, Cleveland is up next. So I had them taking Caravan. Not sure why that's funny. Because they need, they don't have a lot of wings. Need a wing, need some size, need some shooting versatility out there. So that would be nice to have. Now that doesn't mean that they're going to take him, but that was who I had mocked there because they already have guards, they already have bigs. I guess you could draft another big if you want to have, a backup center, or you could just sign one in free agency. But who did you have mocked here
Malik
for Cleveland?
Thomas.
Okay.
I thought good shooter, knockdown. Just kind of all over the place in terms of, what he can provide in a good way, right?
Yeah.
Not super chaotic, but instant offense.
Think he might be, so you don't think he would be redundant, maybe?
No.
Okay.
It's more of a bench thing.
Yeah, I get it.
And like for some odd reason, Schroeder's always on the market, so why not just go younger?
Yeah, and he may be one of the players that they just cut, or not cut, but like move in order to open up some salary, since they already have some other guards, right?
Exactly.
So
just get cheaper and younger.
Yeah, right. So that would probably be the move.
And you can never go wrong with a with a Calipari guard. So
Jake Fisher, we're getting another trade with Cleveland at number 29, sources say. Sacramento is moving in. So now it's the Sacramento Kings pick.
well, expect them to blow it. They're gonna pick the worst player in this draft.
The worst player?
Mm-hmm. Watch it be Malik.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you say that, and then it's like, oh, wow. Hey, the front office isn't the same anymore, buddy. It's a different front office.
Yeah, my smile just faded so quickly as soon as you said that.
Okay. I mean, it is.
If
It literally
if
is.
it's Caravan, I'm about to laugh.
Why?
Because that would be funny if the Kings select Caravan.
Yeah, because Cleveland should have taken him.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, with the 29th pick in the NBA draft, the Sacramento Kings select Nate Biddle from Oregon.
No.
What?
No.
Why?
Oh my gosh. I swear if it's Caravan.
Yeah. Oh, well, Untamed said Caravan.
Oh no.
So if he said it, it must be true. If he said it, it must be true.
Oh no.
Because we know he would always tell us the truth. So if it's Caravan.
Are you serious?
No. I didn't say anything. That's from Untamed.
Okay.
I haven't gotten the confirmation yet, but if he said it, it must be true. So we're probably gonna get it pretty soon. The pick is in, so now let's find out who the pick is. He said, "Yes, I'm serious. I have sources." He's telling you it's Caravan. He's telling you it's Caravan. See, trust. Now, what the? I believe the Suns are trading into number 30 with Dallas. Okay. All right. And it was Caravan. See? He knows. He knew.
I just heard it on the stream. That just pissed me off.
Yeah, he knows. See, I told you. I told you he wouldn't lie. I literally said that.
I don't like it.
Care to explain to the rest of the class why you don't care for it?
I don't know, man. It's like the Kings and Caravan? Like, what is he gonna provide?
Shooting?
Oh, wow.
I live in Asia, but I have the inside scoop. Much appreciated.
I don't freaking know. Alex Caravan. Oh, please.
It's Caravan. He was trying to tell us. He's trying to tell you. I told you he was telling the truth.
Well, he got traded to Sacramento. So do they expect Darius Acuff and Alex Caravan to carry them to a championship?
No. Darius Acuff, DeRozan, Levine, Sabonis, Keegan Murray, Caravan. And Devin Carter. What's his name? Like Dylan Caldwell? Dylan Caldwell, I think.
I forgot all these guys were on the Kings.
Yeah, I mean, I saw some of their games the last stretch of the season where they were, like trying to win games for whatever reason. Who else was on the team? I went too far down the Kings roster rabbit hole. I need to get out of that. So Jake Fisher's saying that the Suns are trading into number 30 with Dallas. So I guess this is going to be Phoenix's pick?
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, the guy I had at 30 has already been taken, and now the 30th pick isn't Dallas, it's Phoenix. So completely changes my mock draft here, buddy. So I guess if you're the Suns, are you drafting a power forward, a center, a guard, a center, a power forward, a center?
Center.
Who are you taking?
I'm going with my boy Luigi, man.
You're not taking Koa Pete?
No.
Why not?
Respectfully, Luigi clears.
Okay. Does he clear Nate Biddle?
Yes.
Kings get Caravan for the 34th pick and a second from the Cavs. Okay. So, let's see. Yeah, because I had Sergio De La Rey going to Dallas, but if it's not going to be Dallas and it's going to be Phoenix, yeah, I think they should probably take. Yeah, and oh, it's Koa Pete. It's Koa Pete. Koa Pete called it. It's Koa Pete.
I mean, it's not terrible, but
Yeah,
I can't hate on it.
I just thought they might because they don't really have any fours because they have Malawach. You have who knows with Mark Williams. Maybe he's on the team, maybe he's not. You have Iguodaro, so like you already have multiple bigs. So that's why I was kind of thinking maybe Koa Pete. And he dropped. He was kind of ranked. I mean, he was like kind of polarizing for people, but I feel like he was ranked higher than the 30th pick. I think it was kind of unexpected that he would drop this far. 6'7", 245, 6'11 wingspan. 35 from three, but like 0.63 is a game. So I don't know if I really believe he can shoot. I mean, I guess mid-range kind of. They don't have a lot of power forwards. It's kind of a lot of guys that are like wings that are playing the four, which just makes them kind of small. They are like a good, I think, offensive rebounding because they have a lot of active players. But just to have a little bit more size and versatility at that forward spot, and it's not a small forward, I'm cool with that. He probably won't start, but it's just nice to have that type of player because I feel like they needed that in Phoenix. And they already kind of kicked off some of our offseason stuff since they re-signed Jordan Goodwin, re-signed Colin Gillespie to relatively inexpensive deals. I guess the question for them is are they gonna re-sign Mark Williams? Should they re-sign Mark Williams?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, yeah, actually, I do know. They should. They should resign him. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, because I guess it just depends on the cost. Or do you believe in Malawach? Like it's like, oh, you drafted Malawach, so maybe you should probably get him some minutes.
Yeah, I don't know. Malawach seems like a lost cause, but maybe I'm giving up on him too soon. I didn't really like what I saw throughout the season. Like sometimes, and then sometimes not really.
Yeah, well, I mean, we did see him in person.
Yeah, that wasn't beautiful, was it?
Yeah, no, but to be fair, that was that was summer league, so that was before he got his feet wet. So, so I guess that pretty much concludes the first round. So yeah, that's the first round of the NBA draft in the books. So overall, how did we feel about the draft? First round, obviously.
Pretty good. I like the majority of the lottery. Post lottery, I kind of felt weird, but I liked what the contenders did to trade up, like San Antonio.
Yeah, there was there were picks where like as we got towards the end, we're kind of like, oh, okay, this is kind of weird. But I would say first round, only a couple of picks I was kind of about.
Sure.
I mean, I guess like because some of them it's like, all right, I'm gonna think about it overnight, and then the next day I'll probably feel better about it because that will happen. Some of them maybe I'll feel a little bit worse about, but most of the picks I was pretty cool with, honestly. It was kind of you could argue maybe it was a little bit of a letdown that like no star players got moved during the draft. But just in terms of like the overall selections, I would say if most of the team should be pretty satisfied with who they took, and there's going to be players because they dropped into the second round. There's going to be some good players there that you might be able to get, like I said, for even cheaper cost control deals.
Yeah.
And
right.
on James said, can't wait to watch the Wiz's first game.
Me too.
I know you're going to be excited about that.
Bro, I'm so hyped. I'm gonna be there. I don't care if it's in freaking Toronto. I'm going.
Yeah, I do wonder, since they're the number one pick, are they just going to have their first game be in DC? Are
I
they
would
going to
hope
get some
so.
more? Yeah,
I'll
and
be there.
yeah, and I do wonder, like, are they going to get more nationally televised games just because it's like you got the number one pick, you got Trae Young, probably Anthony Davis, unless he gets moved. So it's like that should create a little bit more buzz where it's like, you're not going to get the most in the league, but like I think they had like maybe one last year or two.
It was literally
Like,
2, and one of them
yeah,
was a prime game against the Bucks, and it
yeah,
was
and then
like,
the
and
other
it
one,
was like the day after we got Trey Young.
yeah, and then the other one I think was the Detroit one, right? That was like
Yeah,
on Prime.
yeah,
Yeah,
they were both on Prime then. Or
yeah,
no,
yeah,
no, one of them was on NBC. I think it was the
yeah. I
Bucks
think
one
that
that
was
was on
Detroit. That
NBC.
was Detroit. That was
Oh,
Detroit.
Detroit was the one on NBC.
Yeah, that was Detroit.
Okay,
That was Peacock. It was Peacock.
Peacock. Yeah,
Yeah, so you'll probably have more than 2 nationally televised games next year.
probably.
So, um, so we pretty much saw. Obviously, we talked about Giannis. We talked about the Bucks, and the Heat and the Celtics. We talked about Randall a little bit and the trade. Um, so I guess now we're looking forward to the second round. We already kind of mentioned some of the names to look out for in the second round because those were guys who were not drafted, right? Like there's still some bigs that are going to be available, like Visar, right? We mentioned a couple other guys, right? I think.
Yeah, I mean, there's
Yeah,
Nate
exactly.
Biddle.
Yeah,
There's
Biddle. Isaiah Evans is still on the board,
yeah,
so that
Rafael
could be.
Castro.
Yeah, exactly. So
Uh,
there's still some guys available. There's some small guards. My guess is they'll probably be two-way guys if they're
yes.
drafted. I
Yeah.
don't necessarily expect them to be second round. I could be wrong because, like you said, there are a lot of guards that were kind of like in that middle spot of the lottery. So, and then after that, obviously, then it'll be getting close to free agency, and then that's when everything else will kind of work itself out. So I guess the question is like since we didn't see any trades the first round, does that just mean that maybe we're not going to see any? Like maybe some
Maybe.
like a Trey Murphy, or some of these other guys is going to stick. Jalen Brown, does he get moved between now and tomorrow, or or do they just maybe not do it at all? Those are real questions.
Yeah, I guess we probably won't know the answer. I don't know. I don't know how to predict it. It's weird. It's a weird time
Exactly.
we're in right now.
Yeah, but either way, that probably I would say is probably going to conclude the live stream for the first round of the 2026 NBA draft. Of course, we appreciate everybody for showing up and showing out. Of course, Untamed obviously kept everything in line with all the comments and all the chat, right? So that always makes it fun to interact with everybody. And of course, continue to like and subscribe. Of course, continue to follow us at the OBT podcast for more content and updates. So we appreciate all the support. We'll see you next time.